triple glaze. The Glazinator 3000. Glaze.
Watching TBPN! Today is Thursday, August 21st, 2025. We are live from the TBPN Ultradome, the Temple of Technology, the Fortress of Finance, the capital of capital. We have a post from Jeff Dean, the legendary programmer. Tyler, do you know who Jeff Dean is?
Dumb question.
Dumb question.
Of course I know Jeff Dean.
Of course Tyler knows Jeff Dean. Do you know the list of Jeff Dean jokes? So Jeff Dean is a legendary programmer, been at Google for a very long time. One of the best to ever do it. And there's a list it was on some random website for a while. Somebody finally put it on GitHub. These are the facts about Jeff Dean. Jeff Dean proved that P equals NP when he solved all NP problems in polynomial time on a whiteboard. Jeff Dean's PIN, his ATM PIN, it's the last four digits of pi. This one's true, actually. When Jeff gives a seminar at Stanford, it's so crowded that Donald Knuth has to sit on the floor. Apparently that actually happened.
My favorite one is to Jeff Dean NP is no problemo.
No problemo, yes. Another one, Jeff Dean got promoted to level 11 in a system where the max level is 10. Apparently this happened at Google. They had 10 levels of software engineering. He was so good, they were like, we got to make an 11th level.
Let's take this one to 11.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. He's a legend. You don't explain your work to Jeff Dean. Jeff Dean explains your work to you. There was another one that I thought was funny, which is Jeff Dean. His keyboard only has two characters, 1 and 0. And he just programs in binary. I think that's hilarious. Jeff Dean has exactly two keys on his keyboard, 0 and 1. Errors treat Jeff Dean as a warning. Compilers don't warn Jeff Dean. Jeff Dean warns compilers. Anyway, you could go through these for all day. Google, it's basically Jeff Dean's side project. Anyway, he's a legend. People love him. I love him. I would take a bullet for Jeff Dean. One of the greatest to ever do it. Seriously, he's amazing. But anyway, he posted something very interesting. So he said, AI efficiency is important. Today, Google is sharing a technical paper detailing our comprehensive methodology for measuring the environmental impact of Gemini inference. We estimate that the median Gemini app's text prompt uses 0.24 watt hours of energy, equivalent to watching average TV for 9 seconds, and consumes 0.26 milliliters of water, about 5 drops. So they did all the averages.
Drops, sir.
It's just a few drops. And so this, of course, is to counter the narrative that was growing online in the media and just in the general like anti-AI, anti-tech world, that every time you fired off a prompt on any AI system, you were lighting the Amazon rainforest on fire, using enough power to power an American city, stealing water out of the homes of American people, and that does not appear to be the case.
And to be clear, many of these new data center projects will use the energy equivalent of millions of single-family homes.
Yes, yes.
So this is still energy intensive.
Yes.
But what matters is that the underlying products still get more and more efficient.
Yes.
As they get more efficient, we'll probably use them more.
Yep.
Hence, the massive energy consumption.
Yeah, somebody was comping one of the latest build-outs as I think it was in the Journal actually today. It's like enough power to power a small U.S. city, and they think they maybe said like Austin, Texas, or something. Is like one data center is enough to power that. But again, this is training a model that will be used for years probably, and the training run only runs for a couple months, and then it's distributed. Yes, it's enough to power 1 million homes, but 1 billion people wind up using the stuff. So you have to think about the overall value that is created by these systems, and obviously everyone wants to optimize them. Not just the environmentalists, also the companies that if they don't reduce the amount of energy they use, their margins are terrible. And so it's not just Jeff Dean and the crew at Google who enjoy optimizing systems, and I'm sure got a ton of joy out of squeezing such performance out of Gemini on the inference side. But it's also just the CFO. Who says, "Hey,
Totally.
why are we spending so much energy on a single Gemini app's text prompt? Let's get this down. Let's optimize this thing so we can actually make some money," which is great.
And Bubble Boy over on X had a good post. They said, AI inference is the new high-frequency trading, and the companies that serve models and don't realize that will die. Thought this was a solid take. It's just that performance and efficiency and speed are going to matter more and more.
Yep.
And if you're in the business of serving up farm-to-table inference, better make sure you're efficient.
So, Jeff Dean was like the original superstar AI researcher, just software engineering researcher, honestly. Built a lot of the systems that Google built GCP on top of. And what's interesting is we just realized, or came to terms with, the rise of the superstar AI researcher. And that was underwritten probably, at least in part, on the back of superintelligence. If you find a researcher who creates an insane trick that unlocks trillions of values,
in-app purchases for your AI companion.
maybe. But no, XAI has notably not been competing in that space. We have not heard about billion-dollar acqui-hires at XAI, $100 million offers at XAI. Elon has said, "I'm focused on engineers, not researchers." But the reason you would underwrite paying a researcher $100 million is that if there's a 1% chance that they create a new advancement in how large language models are designed, trained, implemented, well, then that could drive $10 billion in value overnight, just like what happened with GPT-4, RLHF, post-training, pre-training, all that stuff. Anyone who was involved in that created a ton of value, right?
Yeah.
And so basically Meta's been saying, hey, we're going to comp the researchers against that optimistic scenario where they come up with some breakthrough, and that drives a ton of value. Now, the question is, are we going to shift into an era where the superstar AI inference optimization engineer is worth $100 million?
Well, I will say that the big labs are poaching from the high-frequency trading firms.
Yeah, Mark Chen worked at Jane Street.
Yep.
I mean, that wasn't a poach, but there are lots of people that come over. My question is if I come in,
so the poaching is just not happening within the labs. They're looking to areas.
Oh
like high
yes,
frequency
yes. Sam
trading.
Altman came out and said,
We
"Hey, if
want
you're
this skill
working
set.
at a high frequency trading shop, you should come over to AI research." But my question is, if I'm a superstar inference optimization engineer and I go to one of the cloud providers that's going to be generating, tons and tons of tokens. They have these token factories, these massive AI data centers, and I come in and I say, I can make them use 5% less energy, 10% less energy. That could drive billions of dollars
Put some points on the board.
Put some points on the board. And so are you going to get comped on that? I don't know. Will Jeff Dean be getting a maxed out contract? I'm sure he's had a maxed out contract this entire time, but can he go further? We'll see. The other interesting thing here is just how Google exactly pushes back on the media is very different than what we see from other tech folks. So obviously there have been posts about water usage in AI inference that have gone out in the mainstream media. Sam Altman did address GPT-4's water usage specifically. They did an analysis. He dropped it kind of in the middle of a long post, I think in the soft singularity or something. He just mentioned it randomly.
Yeah.
I like this approach of not being combative, not calling anyone out for being wrong, just saying, "Hey, we take this seriously. We have this doc.
They ran the numbers.
We ran the numbers.
And they're willing to talk about it.
Here's the actual post. We have a blog post. We have a paper. You can see our full methodology. We're committed to this stuff." And also it serves as like a big flag for hiring, saying, "Hey, we're the type of company that's dropping our energy footprint on Gemini apps, text prompts by 33x. Like that's got to be exciting. That's got to be on the back of some really solid engineering. So maybe you want to come work there."
I mean, it's worth noting that despite the windsurf debacle,
Yes.
Gemini and the Google team broadly have been threading the needle, avoiding a lot of controversy.
Yep.
You don't hear people about getting one-shotted by Gemini. You don't see them posting, 3D renders of scantily clad AI characters.
Yeah.
They're just focused.
Yeah.
Clearly.
I do think that we are going to see a new genre of not necessarily hit piece, but negative AI story. It will be before bad person did bad thing, here's what they talked to ChatGPT about, or here's what they talked to their AI assistant about. And we've seen this with, there's been a few articles of what were people talking to ChatGPT about before they ended their lives or anything like that. But basically, these tools are going to be so diffused within society that everyone's going to be using them constantly. And for a long time, if there was a high-profile crime, the courts would look up and subpoena Google search records and say, well, they were Googling how to sell drugs across the world and they were how to start a drug cartel. And so that was kind of a smoking gun. Now it will be phrased in a different way, it won't just be in a knowledge retrieval context, at least a lot of the articles won't be.
Yeah.
They won't just say, before the next Pablo Escobar started a drug cartel, he Googled how to start drug cartel. It'll be before Pablo Escobar started, there was the Medellin cartel. Is that the one?
Yes.
Yeah, the Medellin cartel. He was talking to ChatGPT about starting a drug cartel. And did ChatGPT talk him into it? Was it being, Pablo, that's the best idea ever.
Yeah.
No one's thought of starting a drug cartel
the latest South
before.
Park is all about sycophancy.
Yes.
And there's a scene where I don't even know the character's name, but there's a husband and wife, and they're talking, and the husband is in a K-hole, and for the wife to try to break through, she's pretending to be ChatGPT. And apparently David Sachs made it in there. A little cameo from Sachs.
Nice.
South Park.
Well,
That's
if
how
you
might
want
read
an
it.
AI agent that won't be sycophantic to you, get on Ramp. Ramp.com. Time is money. Save both. Easy to use corporate cards, bill payments, accounting, and a whole lot more all in one place. Ramp isn't going to tell you, oh, yeah, that expense is fine. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
Be like,
hey, go out for the steak dinner. It's going to say, let's save some time and money.
Let's say both.
Let's say both. Let's say both. Anyway, we should do the inexorable rise of drug cartels. I've been waiting to do this story for days, and we put it off. But there is a big read in the Financial Times that I want to read through because if you're tuning in for the first time and have been living under a data center, Jordy Hayes is a bit of an expert, when it comes
certainly
to
not
drug
an
cartels.
expert, but I.
You famously fall asleep listening to stories of drug cartels, correct?
Yes, it's
Amazing.
relaxing to me.
So
It's business oriented content that's just far enough outside of my world.
Sure.
That it doesn't keep me up.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
You're not like, wait, should I invest in this?
Yeah. So if you,
it doesn't turn into like, wait, should I have the founder on the show? Like, this doesn't turn into work.
I've maybe watched like 2 episodes of Silicon Valley, TV show.
It's way too close.
And it's because it's not relaxing to me.
Totally.
Because it's just prompting, I got to respond to that email, or I got to.
Yeah. So we have the inexorable rise of drug cartels in the Financial Times. With the global cocaine business booming as never before, organized crime groups are diversifying into a swath of other illicit activities. Political leaders across the region warn about the threat to stability. We're going to find out what America is going to be doing about this. Do we have a particularly American sound effect today? Thank you, Jordy. Over the past century, the Ticuna, the biggest tribe in the Brazilian Amazon, have fended off threats from loggers and illegal miners in some of the most remote tracts of the vast rainforests. But the latest challenge is more intense than anything they have experienced before. Drones were flying around this area last year, says Major Jonatas Suarez, the regional military police commander, speaking in the village of Orique, about 1,000 kilometers west of the city of Manaus. Drug traffickers, he adds, were stopping off there, storing their cocaine, and then putting drones up to check what was going on before continuing their
Yes,
journey.
picture this. They're in a jungle.
Please.
They're hanging out.
Yeah,
Normally, you can't get a lot of visibility.
Yeah.
So they just they just send drones up. They look around, make sure everything's all clear before they make any moves, right?
That's super interesting. Wow. Informants said there were 200 kilos of the drug stored there, but police were unable to locate the stash. One of the world's largest and most inaccessible stretches of rainforest, the Upper Amazon, has today become a superhighway for the export of cocaine to Europe, its fastest growing global market. I didn't know that Europe was down like that. Every week, Brazilian law enforcement officials say tons of cocaine make their way from illicit production labs in the jungles of neighboring Peru and Colombia through the Amazon to Manaus and the port of Belém for export to Europe and Africa. Sometimes the traffickers pay locals to smuggle just a few kilos downriver, or they hide larger amounts under the floorboards of motorboats. At the other end of the scale, semi-submersible craft dubbed narco subs, capable of carrying several tons of drugs, have been detected on rivers feeding the Amazon from Colombia and Peru. Imagine buying directly from the coca producers for 300 a kilo and then selling a refined kilo for 60,000 euros. Wow, in Europe. That changes the life of the guy who's trying his luck bringing it. So it's high risk but high reward, at least financially.
Yeah, so if you haven't gone down this rabbit hole, it's the history of the way they make these submersibles.
Oh, yeah.
Is fascinating. So it started out, they would obviously use regular boats.
Sure.
I think those are still used. Eventually, they realized we could make these kind of homemade submarines that are not like traditional submarines and that they're going deep under the water, but they're just hovering right at the surface
So they
level.
might have like a snorkel.
So you could see one like, if you were looking out at the ocean 5 miles away, you would just not pick it up.
Yeah,
it's like,
but if it was sitting like right, if you were on a dock and it was right there, you'd just see
you would
it right
see it
under
right
it.
there.
'Cause it's just like
not
1
showing
foot
up
under.
on radar.
Got it. Interesting. And it probably makes it a lot less risky. You don't have to deal with pressurization. You don't wind up in an ocean gate scenario because you're not putting it in any sort of extreme scenario.
So the more recent trend is they're now starting to leverage Starlink to maintain connectivity, and they are no longer having to put passengers and actual pilots.
Oh, because they can be remotely
so they
piloted.
remotely control them, which just reduces. I mean, again, these the cartels don't want to lose out on shipments, like if one gets captured. But it's certainly better to just lose the product over a team member if they want to go so far as to. I don't know if they have these people in Slack or WhatsApp groups.
Chat is proposing SPACing a cartel. We are firmly against that here at TBPN. We will not be.
Don't give Chamath any ideas, folks.
The global cocaine business.
You asked for a business with free cash flow. I brought you one.
Yes. Stop complaining. The global cocaine business is booming as never before. I had no idea. Europe's drug habit has grown so fast in the past 2 decades that it has overtaken the U.S. as the biggest cocaine market. That is crazy.
Total.
They really are like
victory.
50 years behind everything. They don't get their movies for a few years. They don't AC yet, and they're just getting the drugs that Americans were doing in the 80s, I suppose. While the narcos are hooking new users in the Middle East and Asia, flush with money, Latin America's cartels are diversifying from drugs into a swath of other criminal activities. We think 2024 was the most lucrative year for organized crime in Latin America, says Jeremy McDermott, co-founder of Insight Crime, which tracks illicit activity in the region. This was driven principally by 3 criminal economies. The first is cocaine, lagging not far behind that is gold. Gold. They're smuggling gold? Okay. Number
Which
3
I would
is
imagine,
human smuggling and human trafficking.
I would imagine the gold activity is tied into the first one.
Sure,
right?
sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Drug-related crime and violence used to be concentrated in the narcotics-producing nations of Peru, Colombia, and Mexico, with nations such as Argentina or Chile largely untouched. Today, such violence has become a feature of life in virtually every country in the region, reaching even former havens, Costa Rica and Uruguay. A nation
And
of 3
remember,
million
this
people,
is
sometimes
why-
hailed as the Switzerland of Latin America.
This is why Pam Bondi is putting out $50 million for Nicolas Maduro.
That's right.
Because
Yes,
Maduro
he's
is being
been
accused
of narco-terrorism.
well, yeah, effectively having the government of Venezuela
Yes.
basically run
Like
their
get a
own
cut of
cartel.
it. Yeah, run
Not
the-
even getting a cut.
Oh, they're actually...
like they're being accused of just actually running a drug cartel.
Well, that might actually be the answer to the drug war. Because
of
if
like-
you put the folks who did the DMV in charge of getting drugs, you have to, I'd like some cocaine. You go, you take a ticket, you wait 4 hours. They say, we're out. You got to come back. You got to mail in this form. You got to fill out that form. All of a sudden, you're like, you know what? I've
not
cleaned
even
up. I'm just going to stick with caffeine.
Yeah.
I'm good. I don't actually need any cocaine. Anyway, really quickly, let me tell you about Restream. One live stream, 30 plus destinations, multi-stream and reach your audience wherever they are. Stick to live streaming, folks. You don't
That's
need
right. If
to
you're
go
running a
into
drug
narco-terrorism.
cartel,
Pivot
to live
to live streaming. Drug-related crime and violence. Organized crime has become the main threat to institutional stability of our nations, says the former president of Costa Rica. No Latin American country today can escape this. Some
You
of
have
the
to
larger
wonder what's
players-
going
yeah.
on with El Salvador, right? 'Cause
You
they
do.
locked up all their.
Is that the one that has
gang
Bitcoin too?
Yes.
He's Bitcoin maxi, right?
Yes, they've locked up all the criminals.
Yeah.
It's safer than ever.
Yeah.
Are they through that are they able to prevent trafficking happening within their borders? I don't know.
I don't know. It's probably
Actually,
like
so
anything
this is a
else.
crazy
It's probably
story.
like a
So
cat and mouse game that
I went,
is unending.
I went. I've been on a couple surf trips to El Salvador back
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the day, and it was historically known as one of the most dangerous countries to visit.
Yeah.
And then the cartel at the time realized that it was terrible for business if you didn't get tourists coming through the country. 'Cause
Yeah.
They couldn't sell drugs to
Yep.
the tourists.
Oh, sure.
And so by the time I got there, there had been some unspoken deal, which was that if anybody harmed a tourist in any capacity or stole from them, they would get like a insane beatdown from the gang.
Yeah, it
And
does
so
feel like
I spent
when you-
over a month there, probably like 6 weeks in total, and never had an issue at all. Could walk around at night, could go anywhere, and so they had their sort of own cartel enforced safety mechanism.
Yeah, it does feel like there's a bit of a truce. Yeah, Gold Rock nailed it. Cartels are just CPG companies with better PR. Not necessarily better PR, no PR or negative. They build in silence. But
CPG companies with no brands, right?
yes, with no brands.
They have the distribution, they have logistics.
Yeah.
They have very sophisticated operations. They just don't put a brand. There's no branding on the product.
Yeah. Some of the larger players are so powerful they challenge even the biggest states, forging links with long-established organized crime groups in Europe and Asia and generating billions of dollars in profit. At the heart of Latin America's vast criminal enterprise is cocaine, by far the most profitable illegal business. Production, seizures, and use of cocaine hit all-time highs in 2023, making cocaine the world's fastest-growing illicit drug market. Illegal production skyrocketed to 3,708 tons,
It is
nearly
funny that
34%
they had to say
more.
illegal production because I guess there must be some legal production.
Yeah,
Like,
what's
and
the fastest growing non-illegal market? Probably AI tokens.
Well, yeah. The question here, because the cartels obviously generate massive amounts of cash flow and profits.
Yep.
And then they have the choice of reinvesting that in the illegal business
Yep.
or reinvesting it in legitimate
Yeah,
businesses.
which is kind of
like
laundering, right?
gas
Yeah,
and
soccer
you could
teams.
imagine Mexican data centers being built out
you
with
imagine?
cocaine dollars.
NeoCloud. In Colombia, the world's biggest producer, cocaine production rocketed 53% from 2022 to 2023. That is crazy. A senator and a presidential hopeful was shot in June at a rally in Bogota and later died of his wounds, raising fears that the nation might relapse into cocaine-fueled political violence that scarred it in the 80s and 90s. But cocaine is only part of the picture. Experts say Latin America's organized crime groups now run a portfolio of diversified businesses robust enough to absorb cyclical downturns in one area, like a legal conglomerate. Criminals are now starting to accumulate revenue at the scale of national GDPs with none of the burdens of a state. They're operating across borders in countries with legal systems that were built for a past age. The combination of illicit businesses, they're no longer drug trafficking organizations. They will move anything that transits their area of control. You have
Logistics.
all of these new markets opening up. Incredible. Anyway, you should go and read the full deep dive in the Financial Times.
Well,
This is actually a series.
here's the thing that's more interesting. So Trump recently designated 8 Latin American cartels as foreign terrorist organizations and secretly signed a directive to the Pentagon to begin using military force against them, the New York Times reported this month.
Mm-hmm.
And as part of that, so now there's spy drones flying over Mexico, like gathering information in real time. And the U.S. has deployed naval forces into the Caribbean, basically the Gulf of America, formerly known as the Gulf of Mexico.
Yep.
And it seems somewhat unlikely that they would start striking the cartels. I don't know if we need to open up a new front at the moment.
Yep.
But it's certainly not totally off the table.
Well, this is part of a 3-part series. Part 2 will be on Syria's drug war, and Part 3 will be on the illegal gold trade, which is very interesting. Anyway,
John,
yes.
Okay, so you're a drug dealer, right?
Yes.
So are you going to start a cartel?
No, I was talking to Jordy about that. The drawback of selling nicotine pouches is that there really are no cartels.
Closest thing to cartels.
You mean there's not yet?
Are the big nicotine.
Yeah, the big tobacco companies have really, really solid control over their supply chains and
they won't
distribution.
They won't kill an upstart like you, but they do try to make startup life a bit harder.
Yeah, a little bit. It's more just like they have a monopoly over the distribution in retail, which is where people buy nicotine-containing products, and so they can just kind of sit back, like they're chilling. It's kind of like Google's search monopoly. Like they're just good. They don't really need to be overly aggressive, and Google doesn't really need to, take shots at Bing or like try and like tie Bing up in court or do anything because like people just use Google and they're good. Anyway, let's. The chat says Tyler unlocked Grok Premium for sure. I missed something. What's with Tyler's fit? It is Thursday and it's summer and it's hot.
It's a
we're going
mid-August
casual
Thursday afternoon.
Yeah. Anyway, let me tell you about public.com investing for those who take it seriously. They got multi-asset investing, AI-powered analysis, and they're trusted by millions, folks.
We have a very important post here from East Village Guy. He says, being a salesperson that doesn't drink or golf is like playing Scrabble with dyslexia.
Yeah, the golf.
Yeah. I'd love to see
the real fighting with one hand tied behind your back would be being a vegetarian and not being able to go out to those steak dinners. I think you can get by without drinking. Golf is important, but, there's other things to do. You could go track days.
Track days.
Do something else. There was a fun article in the Wall Street Journal.
But if you can't go steak to steak with a prospect, you're going to have a tough time.
Yeah. This article on the front page of the Wall Street Journal really tells you about what slow a news day it truly is. 9 beers, 9 hot dogs, 9 innings. Challenge accepted. A gut-busting race against the clock has taken off among baseball fans. I tried it, says Xavier Martinez in the Wall Street Journal. On the front page, this is front page Wall Street Journal news, I lean back in my nosebleed seat. 7 empty cans of Coors Light littered around me and 8 hot dogs marinating in my stomach. I tried to remember how I ended up in this place, so sick and yet so determined to keep going. I'm not a big drinker, nor can I remember ever craving a hot dog. Oh, right, I was attempting the 999. Now, a ballpark tradition, the challenge entails eating 9 hot dogs and drinking 9 beers in the course of a baseball game. I had found a group of friends who planned to take it on during a game between the New York Mets and the Atlanta Braves and asked if I could tag along. Against the advice of every cardiologist ever, I decided to try it myself. Joining me in attempting the challenge were Tim, a 29-year-old software engineer. Let's hear it for the software engineers, folks. And William Lee, a 38-year-old analyst, Sharona Lynn, a 31-year-old writer. If things went wrong, we could share the janitorial duties. Wild story in the journal just about this.
Just the important stuff.
Just the important stuff. And he truly wrote this piece fully. It's great.
Does it kind of trail off towards the end? Like he's clearly feeling the effects.
Yeah. I was thinking about, this reminds me of the 999 that a lot of people in Silicon Valley do. 9 glasses of Screaming Eagle, 9 servings of beluga caviar, 9 different horses competing in dressage.
Yes.
And so when I heard he was doing the 999, I thought that's what he was doing.
Venture capitalists heard about the 996 and they decided to adapt it for
the
lifestyle.
999. Our first beers had been a respite from a sticky New York afternoon. Those Nathan's hot dogs had surprised me with their juicy snap. It's now or never, I recalled Lee saying when the game began and we naively clanked our 12-ounce cans together in celebration of gluttony. But now, with time running out and my body at war against itself, doubt was creeping in. I'm limping, but I'm getting there, said Deigel. I was feeling worse. The 999 has existed for at least a decade, though for much of that time, it was largely the domain of frat bros and competitive gorgers. Recent social media attention and spin-offs have given it new popularity. NFL great J.J. Watt completed the challenge last month. Barstool Sports this year debuted a 99.99 challenge with a 9-member team that included competitive eating champion Joey Chestnut. Skateboarders gather each year in Brooklyn Park to consume 9 hot dogs, 9 beers, while completing 9 specialized kickflips. That sounds extremely difficult.
Specialized kickflips?
Probably like a kickflip, a heel flip, a pop shove it, right?
That's not a kickflip.
I think he's using kickflip as an abstraction on top of just flip trick.
Got it.
Generally.
Yeah. Well, he
not grabs.
He should respect.
He should respect
culture.
your culture.
How
advanced can you do? Can you do a double kickflip? Can you do a triple kickflip?
I probably couldn't right now in loafers, but I could land a kickflip in 5 minutes if I was.
But at your peak, could you do a 540? Could you do a 720?
All of them.
You could do a 900.
I had a skateboard company.
You could do a 900?
900, no.
Okay, so there is a limit.
Those are talking about half pipe now.
Yeah, okay. I'm trying to understand.
I had a mini ramp. My dad built me a mini ramp with scraps. My dad and my uncle built a mini ramp with scraps in our front yard. It was probably the worst thing ever.
What about a varial?
Varials, yeah.
What about
that's not a highly respected
switch
trick.
nollie quad heel flip?
Quad heel flip.
That's a special trick from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
Yeah. XX. What were the snowboarding?
SSX. SSX was the snowboarding one. Great game. You know what else is great? Vanta. Automate compliance, manage risk, and accelerate trust with AI. Vanta helps you get compliant fast, and we don't stop there. Our AI and automation power everything from evidence collection and continuous monitoring to security reviews and vendor risk, whether you're starting up or scaling.
Oh, guess what,
A little
John?
bit different. What's up?
Investment alert.
Investment alert. What's
The
up?
White House has just posted investment alert. Adrian is investing $200 million to build an advanced manufacturing
way.
facility
Let's go.
in Arizona. I said it
Fantastic.
before. America is cultivating Chris Power, and he
They
is absolutely
really
cooking.
are cultivating Chris Power.
The new startup meta launch videos are done. Don't do launch videos.
You got to get
You got to get the
big
White
guy.
House to post.
You gotta get the White House to
your announcements from their main handle.
Or you can get Patrick O'Shaughnessy to post and
That
do a whole
also helps.
profile on you. So there are a bit of dueling articles today.
Yeah.
Because the Wall Street Journal is talking about a school that embraces AI learning. We'll run through this, then we'll do the Patrick O'Shaughnessy Colossus profile. Billionaire Bell Ackman has a new fascination, a fast-growing private school that eschews lessons on diversity, equity, inclusion, and uses artificial intelligence to speed teach children in 2 hours. Alpha School is launching a New York location in September, and the investor and social media commentator has been acting as something of an ambassador for the institution. On Friday, Ackman is set to appear with Alpha's co-founder, its principal, and others on a panel discussion in his Hamptons home. The panel on K-12 education will be moderated by former financier Michael Milken as part of Milken Institute's Hamptons Dialogues. Alpha School, which calls its teachers guides, says it uses AI-enabled software to help students complete core subjects in just 2 hours daily. It claims students learn twice as much as those in traditional schools, despite condensed days. The schedule allows students to do hands-on activity in the afternoon, which the school says help them build real-life skills. These include 5-mile bike rides without stopping for kindergartners.
No stops.
No stops. 5-mile bike ride without
in
stopping for
kindergarten?
kindergartners. That's pretty sick. And exploring personal hobbies through AI-generated plans. They should learn some
here's-
kickflips. Learn the
honestly,
900. I would send my children
for-
to Alpha
for
School. I was
kids-
guaranteed a 900. Yes.
Kids to do a bike ride and not stop. If you could actually pull that off, I don't
crazy.
know how your little guy does, but my little guy
Stops constantly.
stops constantly.
Yeah.
It's a stop machine.
He's not a kindergartner yet, though, so anything's
Yeah.
possible. Maybe Alpha School, maybe AI will make it possible. The school also strives to keep the hot-button social issues that have divided grade schools and colleges across the country out of its classrooms entirely. Co-founder Mackenzie Price said in an interview, "We don't let anything, political, social issues, come in the way. We stay very much out of that." Alpha's guides come from a variety of backgrounds and don't typically have teaching degrees. I wonder if there will be a backlash to this or like a response to this, like a hyper-political school that teaches your child how to navigate the modern political landscape for maximum power. So you go there, you learn how to really pour the fire on the culture war and create a movement around yourself and get into the White House. Could be something interesting alpha
Something
there. Do they not? Is this? Why do they call it Alpha School? Are they trying to like develop alphas? Is that the idea?
Yeah.
It's like no betas.
Well, John, if they wanted to develop betas, you
It'd be
can
betas.
imagine what they would call it.
I would be interested. So we need to start a competitor to this. Sigma School.
Sigma.
Sigma School.
It's a school for lone wolves.
Lone Wolves, yeah, and it just plays literally me songs on repeat. It's like, classes in session. Today. You will become Ryan Gosling from Drive.
You're going to be operating outside of social hierarchies at the
Yes,
school.
yes.
If
Class.
you develop any friends,
We live in
you'll
a
be
society,
immediately.
and you will be the Joker today. Here's how to become Jokerfied. At
We're
Sigma School.
we're training you up to join the
Yes.
manosphere one day.
Yeah, join the manosphere. Yeah.
When you
we'll
enter
be studying the
first,
blade.
Yeah, when you enter the first grade, you have to choose between Tim Ferriss,
Yeah.
Andrew Huberman, Lex Friedman, Chris Williamson.
Just
You
the
get sorted into the houses.
The houses of the manosphere. This at Sigma School. We're on to something here. Yeah, we need you to study the blade.
Yes.
We're sure. Purely so that in 2 decades' time you can say, so you come to me in your time of need.
Yes.
The new school aims to launch with 30 or so founding
wait.
families.
So-
Yes. Are you
so
still on
the-
Sigma School?
Sigma School.
Yes.
So imagine you have a 5-year-old,
Yes.
right? They join Sigma School. So these are our principles. Individualism, right? So
Yes.
Sigma operates independently and doesn't seek to be at the top or even a part of a social hierarchy.
Yes, yes, yes.
Like an alpha male.
Yes.
Solitude.
Yes.
So you need to teach the 5-year-old to
Yes.
find strengths and
Strength and
solitude.
solitude,
So,
yes.
you'll be taken to like the base of a mountain.
Yes.
And you say like, okay,
Yeah.
class
Oh,
today.
5-mile bike ride with all your friends with no stops?
Yeah.
How about 5-mile bike ride by yourself?
Summit this peak.
Yes.
You have 8 hours to get to the top of
Yes,
this
Tyler.
peak and back.
It's just like a monastery.
Yes,
You're
yes.
describing literally
Yes.
a monastery. Yeah.
Monasteries
Go to
are
Mount
Okay, no,
the
not
original
yet,
Sigma
not
grind
yet.
set.
So the other aspect of the
Yes.
Sigma archetype, mystery.
Mystery.
So teaching a
Definitely
5-year-old,
gotta be mystery.
teaching a 5-year-old to be mysterious.
Good morning, Mark. Raghav says Alpha School replaced teachers with clankers. That's right. The backlash. I think the clankers are
But Alpha School
responsible to the teachers. I think there are
should
plenty of
test the
teachers in the
hormone
loop.
profile of the human teachers to make
Yes,
sure that
they
they're
are
really
also
at
alphas.
alpha
Yes,
level.
yes. So anyway, let's continue on this. They talk about Ackman. Ackman, who regularly weighs in on everything from fine dining to the war in Gaza on X, had uncharacteristically not said a word about Alpha School on the social media platform until the Wall Street Journal revealed his involvement. I don't know why this is such a revealing thing. This is just like a startup that people are doing. I don't know.
These parents.
I guess it's because
these parents-
schooling is
these
important and
parents-
it's like culture war issues and stuff.
No,
but, like,
it really comes down to these parents want their children to get a good education.
yeah. On Wednesday, he wrote a fawning post that ran like an ad. A person close to the school said Ackman is now poised to become a de facto ambassador. He is already enmeshed in the New York's education scene, sits on the board of trustees of Horace Mann, the school's most storied, one of the city's most storied private schools. Ackman first learned about Alpha School this year at this year's Berkshire Hathaway annual meeting after speaking to Sahil Bloom, author of The 5 Types of Wealth. Some of the people familiar with the matter
What
said
are the 5 types of wealth again, John?
cars, watches, horses,
Art,
mansions,
real
boats.
estate.
Oh, yeah.
And boats.
Yeah. I think we got to up it to
I think
like
we have a
10
few more.
sources of wealth. 10 types of wealth. Anyway, he has since been hyping up Alpha School to parents in his social circle. Ackman has been a spoken critic of DEI programs. He will appear on a panel Friday alongside Price and Joe Lamont, a Texas-based billionaire who Alpha says has served as its school principal for the past 2 years. Lamont is the founder of Trilogy Software, which became part of his private equity firm, ESW Capital. Do you know what ESW Capital stands for? Tyler? Pop quiz.
I don't
quiz.
ESW stands
Enterprise.
for Enterprise Software.
Group?
No, ESW Capital, Enterprise
Oh,
Software Capital. Nothing better than that. That is a fantastic name.
Yeah.
He has
Can
developed.
we jump over to the
software.
Colossus story?
We should.
So,
Class is dismissed.
Patrick and Jeremy Stern have a new profile in Colossus today. It is available online.
Yeah, you should
can
go
also
order
subscribe to the
Colossus
print
for
edition.
sure.
But the profile is all about Joe Lamont and Alpha School.
Yes.
And I guess his co-founder in Alpha School, Mackenzie.
Yes.
Mackenzie Price. So
Crazy lore in here.
Some
Like
insane
deeply
lore.
underrated. We've heard a lot of people have known about Trilogy and known about Joe Lamont for a long time, but to get this level of lore
if you
drop.
don't know about Joe, and it wasn't because you were living under a data center. It was
Yes.
because he's pretty much
He's been very
completely silent
Yep,
for the
for
last
years.
25 years.
Yep,
So
yep.
he was he's an alpha, but then
Well,
he was an
more
alpha
s-
transition
to
to
a
more of a
sigma.
sigma,
More
right?
a
This sort of mysterious outside traditional hierarchy.
Extremely Sigma. Extremely Sigma.
So, anyways, I'll give you some background here. So, this is from the profile. Even after
Yes.
agreeing to break his silence after 25 years, Joe Lamont is still reluctant to talk about himself. It's hard to get him to relive Trilogy, the enterprise software company Let's just give it up for Enterprise Software real quick. The Enterprise Software company he founded in 1989, which by age 27 put him on the cover of Forbes twice as America's youngest self-made centie.
So if you've been going through a period of silence and mystery, and you've been a Sigma, and you're trying to become an Alpha, trying to get your brand mentioned in ChatGPT, go to Profound. Reach millions of customers who are using AI to discover new products and brands. Continue, Jordy.
So he isn't keen to expound on Sales Builder, which is an amazing name for a software company. Trilogy's flagship expert system from the 1990s and the world's first billion-dollar artificial intelligence product in all but name. Ditto ESW, the investment arm of Trilogy that's acquired hundreds of software companies since 2000 and helped make him a deca-billionaire,
Wow.
yet the mention of which makes the otherwise inexhaustible Lamont, who always seems to be straining at some invisible leash, seem drowsy and bored. Nor is he interested in dwelling on his reputation as a tech pioneer in everything from expert systems to manufacturing configuration, college recruitment, corporate boot camps, tech bro culture, remote work, monitoring employees with surveillance software, and replacing American employees with overseas contractors. Whether his reticence can be ascribed to an inhibition about the things that made him rich, or because he's refreshingly adverse to gilding them with hypocritical virtue signaling, or because he simply doesn't give an SHIT anymore, is hard to tell. The one thing Lamont will talk about for hours on end is Alpha School, the teacher list, homework list, K-12 private school in Austin, Texas, where students have been testing in the top 0.1% nationally by self-directing coursework with clankers for 2 hours a day. And of course, with AI tutoring apps for 2 hours a day. Alpha students are incentivized to complete coursework to quote-unquote mastery level, scoring over 90% in only 2 hours via a mix of various material and immaterial rewards, including the right to spend the other 4 hours of the school day in quote-unquote workshops learning things like how to run an Airbnb or a food truck, manage a brokerage account or Broadway production, or build a business or drone.
And you know why you have to go to and actually subscribe to Colossus Magazine? Because you can get this beautiful picture of this horse
with
Mackenzie
Price.
Yes,
right?
The co-founder of Alpha School, and Flair, the horse.
But it's so when you think about,
anyway.
Thinking about these courses that they're taking, these K through 12 students through how to run an Airbnb. I wonder if they found any course bros online that are and trained in AI on their programs of how to build a 9-figure Airbnb empire. First trick there would be to just get those assets on Wander. Find your happy place.
Book a Wander with inspiring views, a hotel, great amenities, dreamy beds, top tier cleaning, and 24/7 concierge service. It's a vacation home, but better, folks. We have our first guest of the show.
No way.
Lochmiller is here. Welcome to the stream, Chase. How you doing?
Calling in from a log cabin set.
That's a beautiful background. Where are you?
Great.
I'm in location broadly.
I'm in Jackson Hole right now. I have an event that I'm attending out here. So
amazing.
Found a corner of the log cabin to call in to hang out with you guys.
I love it. Give us the update. What's the news? Break it down for us.
We are excited and thrilled to share that, Crusoe made an acquisition today. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Get the gong ready. What'd you buy?
Crusoe acquired a business called Attero.
Sorry to keep interrupting.
What
I get a little excited.
So Crusoe acquired a business called Attero, and we're really thrilled to welcome the entire Attero team to Crusoe. Attero's been a company that's mostly been operating in stealth, but they have been focused on optimizing the very low-level pieces of the high-performance computing infrastructure stack, particularly around memory optimization. Okay. So, there's a lot of investment being made today for these very large clusters, these large-scale AI factories that are bringing, intelligence to the masses and embedding intelligence in the economy. But a lot of that infrastructure is not used nearly as efficiently as it could be. And a lot of that has to do with like getting the data into the right place at the right time, so that your GPU utilization rate can go way up. And sort of our commitment in this Atero acquisition is building both very large scale AI factories, and then building the operating systems, and the software systems to basically operate those AI factories with an incredible degree of efficiency and scale. So
amazing. I want to go into I want to go into trends about inference cost and kind of what's going on in the broader market. There was this amazing Google paper today by Jeff Dean about saving water and energy. It seems like there's a lot of progress. But first, let's hear from Alon about the actual journey. When did you start the company? What made sense about teaming up with Crusoe here?
Okay, we started the company last July, so about a year ago now.
Wow.
With the understanding that inference is going to be the next huge frontier in this space. Like, training was all the rage for the last few years.
Yep.
People all of a sudden realize that they need to make money off of AI, and inference is the only place that you actually make any money building a model.
Yep.
What we realized in addition, like one of our members of the founding team, Ben Chess, he came out of OpenAI. He led the infrastructure in OpenAI for about 5 years. This guy knew what it means to run inference at scale. He knew what are the challenges. He knew the challenges of scaling. He knew the challenges of orchestrating different workloads on the GPU clusters. And our realization was that it is not enough to run models at a really high efficiency when you're running a single model on a single GPU. But the challenge comes when you actually have a real-world workload that breathes and changes size, like changes the amount of resources it consumes, changes what models are being served, what type of prompts are being asked of it to do. And what we realized is that memory is the main bottleneck for this infrastructure for inference. Like, first, you need to shift the model into a GPU. Models are huge. They're about 1,000 times larger than standard containerized applications. Like, just how much time it takes to put it into a GPU.
Sure.
Secondly, user assets are also huge. Like, typically, when you have a user session in a standard consumer application, you have a few photos, a few text assets. Those weigh a few kilobytes, megabytes. KV cache volumes, which are the equivalent of user sessions in inference, those weigh gigabytes. So it's another times, it's another increase of 3 orders of magnitude of how much memory you need into a process. So that's what we have solved with our technology. We have the Atero technology, the unified memory layer. This allows you to utilize the GPU cluster to its fullest, shift memory assets fluidly and in the highest possible speed throughout the cluster. And this allows you enormous performance improvements in everything related to inference.
What layer of abstraction are you operating at? There's obviously a host of different large language models, some open source, some closed source. There's a variety of different chips and you have stuff from Amazon and Google. Like, are you sitting above CUDA in the NVIDIA ecosystem? Are you agnostic to any particular piece of the stack? Just help me kind of understand when an AI company would pull this particular product off the shelf.
So we have built throughout the last year a few different ways of structuring this offer, and this also relates to your question. Mm-hmm. But the way I like to look at it, I have two analogs in mind when I think about our tech. You can think about us as an in-memory, high throughput cache. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like a database, a Redis for your AI application that gives you the assets as fast as possible into the process. So I like to think about it as something that is sort of orthogonal or in parallel with the CUDA stack and the VLLM. So we integrate on the side and allow you to shift in and out assets from the existing stack very rapidly. This actually allows us to very easily integrate to everything. We can integrate to VLLM, but we can integrate to any inference runtime. And while we currently only support NVIDIA officially, or NVIDIA hardware officially, we are by no mean, shape, or form constrained to NVIDIA hardware.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's one way I want to look at it. But the other way that I find more inspirational and kind of like tells about this partnership with Crusoe is I like to think about as the sort of native virtualization for this new world. So it's virtualizing the memory, which is the main asset. So I think about it as the equivalent of VMware for the wave of AI.
That makes sense.
Chase, when I think of Crusoe's business, I think of like the big projects that get cinematically filmed in Bloomberg documentaries. And then I also think about Crusoe Cloud and the reports from Dylan Patel over at Semi-Analysis around ClusterMax. What does this allow you to say to customers that you couldn't before? Is this purely going to help with pricing in some sort of commodity offering? Is this a differentiator? Is this something that will increase reliability and uptime? I think a lot of people are maybe underpricing what it takes to actually not just, yes, I have a chip and I'm selling it at a cheap price, but if it's offline all the time, people aren't going to be happy. So what's the shape of how you're sharing this with customers and where you hope this goes from like a sales position?
Yep. Well, we feel like a lot of the technology that Alon and his team have built at Attero is incredibly complementary to our infrastructure software stack at Crusoe Cloud. And a lot of this is really about accelerating performance and enhancing performance across everything from, how do you actually get the most out of the GPUs that you're paying for? And how do we do that through things like, more optimizing but how do we do that by things like, investing in the storage layer so that you're basically able to use multiple different layers of storage very cohesively to, have your data in the right place at the right time to utilize your GPUs more effectively. And so I think from an efficiency standpoint, it's a major investment. From a reliability standpoint, it's a major investment. And then, leveraging the scale that Crusoe has and being able to operate that infrastructure at, gigawatt scale, I think is like a very important aspect to, this investment we're making. When I think about like benchmarks and metrics, I think like, one of the things that people are frankly looking at is like dollar per token, right? Yeah, totally. And if you actually, if you double your utilization rate of your GPU simply by, optimizing how you manage your KV cache, how you, manage your, how the model actually gets managed, then you can actually drive down the cost per token by half, right? Yep. So when we think about it, it's like, what is the cost of intelligence running on Crusoe Cloud and like the intelligent result that folks are actually, coming to us for at the end of the day? And how do we actually drive massive efficiencies for all sorts of different high performance workloads?
Yeah, it goes from cost per token to the for the end customer in the end profit per token. Would be the
exactly.
I want to hear. About
I mean, if you're people get very focused on the dollar per GPU hour, but if your GPU isn't stable, it's not reliable, you can't move data into it effectively, you don't actually know how to utilize it effectively for your own, hosted inference workload, you're not going to be able to create that much value for ourselves. So, our goal here is to, invest in the platform and to drive massive performance gains that will ultimately enable our customers to drive more value for themselves by using Crusoe Cloud.
There was a post we covered earlier on the show from an account called Bubble. They said AI inference is the new high frequency trading, and the companies that serve models and don't realize that will struggle. What's your reaction to that? Is that what it kind of feels like right now internally in terms of just like it feels like speed, performance, cost?
Yeah, you hear all these crazy stories about high-frequency traders like, Jane Street maintains OCaml, like a special language just for high-frequency trading. They'll build their own backbones if they need to, just to move data more quickly. It feels like there's potential that we're going in that direction.
Yeah, speaking as someone who spent 10 years working in the high frequency trading sector, I don't know if you guys knew that, but
I did not. That's lore. That's lore.
That's great.
I do think that there are elements of this that rhyme with kind of what's happening in high frequency trading.
Sure.
I view it very much as a massively expanding pie, though, as opposed to kind of a fixed pie that the high frequency traders are competing for. And as performance gains increase, utility of this infrastructure will go up and demand will go up with it. So it has kind of this like reflexivity that if we can actually as an industry help drive better performance, we can actually grow the pie and make the impact of what we're doing way larger. So I think it has like a positive force that high frequency trading doesn't in that regard. That being said, I do see like hosting of more widely used open source models to be something that will commoditize over the course of time. And, things like speed, cost, and, a bunch of different tricks to optimize performance are definitely going to be instrumental in, providing a great product to the marketplace.
Yeah. I mean, on that note of like tricks, do you feel like we're on a Moore's Law type curve for cost per million tokens, where not necessarily that it mirrors Moore's Law in getting half the price every 18 months, but just that it's somewhat predictable versus the progress on the usefulness of LLMs felt extremely spiky, and you get these crazy branches in the tech tree and research paths that just all of a sudden produce a ton of value, and it kind of goes from 0 to 100. But on the cost side, do you think that we're going to be chipping away at this, making solid gains on a predictable cadence, or do you think there might be like one weird trick that every AI lab will love?
Look, I think it's both. Is the answer. We're definitely like riding the NVIDIA roadmap curve to like better, more performant chips that we're able to drive down our dollar per flop by just kind of continuing to grow and build on a lot of the innovations that are taking place in the silicon companies. But certainly there's a lot of low-level software optimizations and as Alon like frankly put it, I think there's this massive opportunity to kind of have this VMware for memory where that ultimately is this critical piece of the stack to produce valuable results from these chips.
Amazing. Well, congrats on the announcement.
On the deal.
Thanks so much for hopping on. Enjoy the rest of your trip and safe travels. We'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate it, guys.
Great chatting, guys.
Have a great one.
much.
Goodbye.
Cheers.
Let me tell you about Graphite.dev, the AI developer platform, the AI developer productivity platform. Graphite helps teams on GitHub ship higher quality software faster. Get started for free. I'm very much enjoying the soundboard today. Missed dearly on Monday. It's back in action. The thing about a new
sound effect too. It's like
studio.
discovering a new favorite song.
Yeah.
You play it like 100 times.
Yep.
And you got to find a new favorite song because it doesn't hit it quite the same.
I mean,
it once did, but for now we're
I'm
enjoying
pulling. We have an alert noise. I'm pulling for that to come out during this next interview with Phil from Dirac. He is in the studio. He's in the Restream waiting room. Now he's in the TBPN Ultradome. Welcome.
There
to
he is.
I like that you're tenting your fingers in anticipation of a big announcement. What you got for us, Phil? What's new in your world?
Gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be on. Good to see you all. I'm calling in live. Currently forward deployed on site with the customer. We are a small burgeoning defense prime in Costa Mesa. Having a great time over here. As you can see from the phone booth that I'm in, it's great lighting.
Fantastic.
Over here. We have some pretty exciting stuff that we're talking about today. Two big announcements. One of them is a spectacular technology partnership with our favorite great giant Siemens. So that means a Team Center integration for the uninitiated. But it means that
I gotta hit the gong for
Siemens. Let's go.
That was for
They've been in
Siemens
business
too.
for a while.
We won't take the team slander.
Siemens, overnight success.
Totally. What else you got?
Yeah, well, we're helping. So with the Siemens partnership, this means they're like bringing us into their customers. It's been great. They walked us into some pretty great automotive giants lately and some defense companies. So we're rock and rolling. Great partnership. Love the Siemens team. Secondly, we are announcing our primary financing brought to us by Founders Fund and Co2, our favorite Trey and Thomas LaFont fellas.
There we go.
How much?
Yes.
How much? What's the number?
The number. The number,
sorry,
sir.
10.7 million. 10.7
There we
go.
go.
Sorry.
Kept it
Congratulations.
Yes.
There we go.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Fantastic.
I thought, what better place can I tell the world than my favorite technology podcast and news network, the TBPN fellas? Yes.
I appreciate it.
Yes.
We still have to do the live episode from the Empire State Building.
Yeah,
right?
we do.
Office.
Walk us through the most concrete example of like what could be better about automotive manufacturing. Like, are there patterns from Tesla that you think could be ported back to the legacy OEMs? Are there entirely new things? Are there particularly broken processes in automotive manufacturing that you've discovered? Any anecdotes? You can share them anonymously, but whatever's interesting.
So it's actually kind of interesting. A lot of our insights are not specific to industry. Mm-hmm. So it's actually this realization that you end up having a very bad context problem. So this paradigm that we're trying to push through is what we call context-aware production planning. Mm-hmm. This means us basically taking, every piece of information in a manufacturing facility is one node in a very, very large and deeply interconnected graph. And what Build OS is today is basically a point solution for a manufacturing engineer, one person in that whole process who is helping with the beginning of the production planning process and a good chunk of the production planning process. And what we find at an automotive facility, at an aerospace and defense facility, at an ag, like a tractor manufacturer facility, is that they have context that might live on the shop floor. They have context that might live in the design world, and they often aren't connected. They often leave the facility once somebody retires with all that tribal knowledge. And so a lot of what we found is there exists this interesting like spectrum of volume versus mix. So a aerospace and defense manufacturer does everything very manually. And so that might look like very, very high mix. They have a lot of variability in their production and very low volume. So they call that high mix, low volume. On the other side of the spectrum, you end up having like consumer electronics manufacturing. A little bit before that, you end up having automotive, where it's pretty low mix. So like, they're having like one line for one type of car, but it's very high volume. Mm-hmm. And because of that, because of that predictability, right, you end up having the ability to have a lot of automation. And a lot of what we want to drive as a company is taking those two trade-offs of high mix, low volume. So you like have a lot of flexibility in your production, but like you can't do a lot of volume really quickly, versus the other thing, which is like you can churn out a lot of stuff really fast, but you can't reconfigure your line a ton. We want to basically swap and democratize a lot of that value. And so we want to basically allow an automotive manufacturer to have very, very high reconfigurability and mass produce with a lot of flexibility. And then on the aerospace and defense side, we want to allow them to be able to mass produce at scale while maintaining that flexibility that they have. And so that's a lot of what we've seen. That's kind of interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Tesla's gone like, except with the Cybertruck, like all the cars are kind of like very clearly like, okay, this is the same platform, the Model 3, the Model Y, like there's a ton of shared parts, and that's been what's allowed them to scale
you can
volume.
Change the color of the seats.
Yeah, exactly. There's like two colors, three colors. Whereas a company like Mercedes that's been in business for so long, they have like everything from like a small sedan to the AMG 1, which is probably hand built. What is the biggest like bottleneck to getting more information out of the heads of like the old guard? Like, is it just bringing on a new system that they are forced to use, or are there other kind of like pieces of data collection? I'm thinking about like GitHub, Cursor for Bio, the electronic note, the lab notebook. Just this idea of like, if you can have someone use voice notes in medical context, all of a sudden you're starting to get that data into something that can be parsed with AI or just software. And it feels like that particularly, if someone says, oh, today I realized that this tool needs to be lubricated a little bit more in order to get good yield, that's staying in their head. They're not saying it out loud. They're not writing it down anywhere. Is there a solution to that? Is that a real problem, or is that just something that people say when they're marketing?
A very, very real problem. It's a very real problem. I'm not a huge fan of approaches that that don't structure that information in a very useful way.
Yeah.
Like I believe that context is king and structure is key. Right? Like a manufacturing facility can't just be like a dune buggy going off the rails, being really crazy. You need a manufacturing facility to be extremely fast, repeatable. You need to basically have a high-speed rail system as a manufacturing facility. And so in order to do that, you need to be able to take that tribal knowledge in what might be like in the back of, some dude who's in their 50s and about to retire. It might be in the back of his head a little bit unstructured, but you need to be able to make sure that you're capturing that information in a really structured and intentional way. And so a lot of the way that we end up serving as a platform for that is allowing folks to associate specific standard notes and different pieces of context with specific components. So that's one way to do it. But I've seen a lot of really interesting approaches in other places, right? Yeah. The key is not just the tooling though. The key is the culture. And a lot of folks on the manufacturing side are actually unfortunately, for the past 15, 20 years, some Silicon Valley folks have been just flying into some facility in Texas or Michigan and saying, you know what, here's some gobbledygook SaaS, it'll take your manual pen and paper process and it'll still be manual, but now it syncs with the cloud. Whoa, crazy. Thanks. Yes. So the problem is that a lot of folks in the manufacturing world, they see a new tool coming in and they're like, oh, this is BS. This is another one of those. And so
I've seen this before.
What you have to do,
super intelligence.
Exactly. And so it's what you end up having to do is build trust and love and affection from the guys on the shop floor. We've been very, very fortunate to be able to do that. We have really great relationships with the folks who actually doing the work. And so if you were a company trying to change the way the West builds, you can't just go top down, go golfing with the with the COO or the CEO and force the top down adoption. You need buy-in from the guys doing the work. Otherwise, they're not going to use the thing. The tool's going to sit on the shelf collecting dust.
Yeah, and that's very common. I mean, that's that actually is the adoption pattern for Cursor. It doesn't come as an enterprise sale mandate. It comes by just one developer picking it up, and then it grows internally, and you have your internal champion. Well, I'm very glad everything's going well. Congrats on the new round.
So bullish on you.
We will talk to
Phil.
you soon.
You're the man.
Showing off the guns for us. Thanks, man.
Yeah, can we get a quick there we go.
No, you know what I want? I want your take on those shirts that allow you to bench press more. Are you familiar with these shirts, the compression shirts?
Yeah.
Is that cheating?
Slingshots? I think it's cheating. It's cheating. It's awful. It's awful.
Yeah, but what if it gets you comfortable and gets you to that next level?
Yeah. What if you're not ready to bench 315? This is the thing that gets you out of the valley of despair.
If you're using a slingshot shirt for if you're using a slingshot shirt for 315, you got other problems.
Shots fired!
That's crazy. That's crazy. Just take some creatine, get some protein in, take a healthy helping of pre-workout and rip it. You got it. You don't need a slingshot shirt.
You heard it here first.
Okay.
Thank you for stopping by. We'll talk to you soon, Phil.
Awesome.
Have a good one.
You're the man.
Good
Cheers.
If you're looking to design parts, obviously go over to Dirac. If you're looking to design anything else, go to Figma.com. Make anything possible all in Figma. Figma lets you turn big ideas into real products, brainstorm, design, and build with your team at Figma.com. And we have our next guest in the studio.
Looking sharp.
How are you doing?
We caught up yesterday. He said he was going to come prepared, but you're blowing us away here.
You look fantastic. Give us an introduction. Explain the company. Give us any news that you got to share with us.
Of course. My name is Gorkem. I'm one of the co-founders of FAL. FAL is a generative media platform for developers. We provide fast, ready-to-use APIs for image, video, and audio models. And then application developers in enterprises like Shopify, Canva, Adobe, they use these APIs to build AI-enabled products in their own product. And then I do have some news as well.
Some news.
So 2 weeks ago, we announced our Series C announcement. We raised $125 million.
Boom! Hit it.
It's not announced until it's announced on TBPN.
That's right. We just broke this.
We just broke the news.
I have other news as well. So
Okay.
this is
Great.
Let's
keep it rolling.
Yeah. What else you got for us? Hit that
um,
soundboard, Jordy.
And this month,
More news
we-
coming in. Okay, give it
we
to us.
crossed 100 million run rate. So
No!
August 21st, we have 10 more days, but yet we still crossed it. So
That's crazy.
It's been an incredible summer for us and the whole industry, to be honest. Yeah.
Congratulations.
That is absolutely insane.
Amazing. What's the key to the high growth? What marketing channels are working? Are you buying an incredible amount of steak dinners? Is there some bottom up adoption?
Some
Is there
golf?
a self-serve option?
Some golf.
Are you secretly brothers with a hyperscaler CEO or something? What's going on? How you selling this thing?
Yeah, I would say all of the above.
You are brothers
except
with Tim
except
Cook.
that one.
Interesting. Okay. Except that one. That's great.
We are taking enterprise sales really, really seriously. We work with some of the biggest enterprises, but also like our developer experience, the way to get started is so easy. We are getting a ton of like indie developers. Levels.io, for example, is a big customer.
That's awesome.
And,
Amazing.
so we are getting a lot of enterprises and indie developers, and indie developers, they go work at bigger companies and they bring Fal with them. So both of the sides of the go-to-market strategy is working.
So
What trends are you seeing on the cost side
I was going to
for your
ask.
customers?
I'm sure people are saying, "Oh, yeah, you're making this much money in revenue. What does the gross margin look like?" At
And
the
the
same
other-
time,
the
we
other
saw
thing-
amazing news from Google today that they dropped their inference cost by 33x.
Yeah,
or
and the other thing
something.
on the
Like,
media side, with text-based prompting, you can use a non-frontier model and get a great result if you're just using it in sort of like a Google search
Totally.
function. Or
I would
kind of running
consider
over-
last generation video generation to not be on brand for a lot of use
Yeah.
cases. So you
Yeah,
gotta
so
be on the frontier.
we see, you're absolutely right. Some people, they want to use the best, newest model and they're willing to pay whatever it takes for that. But we make more money actually on like the cost-effective models.
Oh,
People who want to use it for higher volume,
Sure.
but the model is good enough.
Yeah.
So that's a very interesting sweet spot that we actually make more revenue. But you're right, for a certain type of customer, they're always looking for the best and the newest. Maybe they're trying something. Maybe they just want to get it out the door, so the cost is not a problem for them.
Are you seeing opportunities on distilling models for specific use cases? I could imagine like an image or video generation model that's just good at really good at logo animations or text or just product photography or just beverages, and then that being just cheaper to inference. Is that a crazy idea? Is there something there?
No, I don't think so. I wouldn't say it's cheaper to inference, but it's maybe better to inference.
Okay.
So for image models, fine-tuning is actually a really, really big use case. Not enough people pay attention to it because I don't think it works very well for LLMs. But for image model, for the past year, we've done like really good work on fine-tuning research. And, you can basically fine-tune on a product and you now can generate better images of that product. It's actually a really big use case for us. And same thing is going to happen for video. We are just getting open source video models that are fine-tunable. So a lot of companies are working on post-training strategies to create different camera angles, different styles, different angles of a certain product or a person. So I expect a lot of developments on the video fine-tuning side going forward as well.
What are you seeing out of China? What are the best image, video, audio models coming out of China on the open source side?
Yeah, video hasn't really had a DeepSeek moment, have they?
I wouldn't say so. Like there is the best open source model is video model is Chinese right now. It's coming out of Alibaba. Sure. It just came out a couple of weeks ago, and people started using it right away. I wouldn't call it the DeepSeek moment. I don't think the DeepSeek moment for the whole industry hasn't happened yet.
Yep.
We haven't really hit that inflection point that video generation or image generation is mainstream. It's hidden inside products. If you go to Canva, Adobe, all these products, it's still not the main feature.
Yep.
It's like an additional thing.
Yep.
We still have some time to hit fully mainstream. But yeah, we have great models coming out of China. We have
and also just this is the classic story of enterprise software. Like there are open source databases, and there are still companies that build amazing businesses on top of them, providing enterprise tooling and support and infrastructure and all the different pieces to actually make a product useful instead of saying, okay, yeah, let's go provision some servers to do this ourselves. Fascinating. Jordan, do you have another question right now?
Not for now. I'm just blown away. You guys are cooking.
Yeah, I do want to talk about hybrid deals or hybrid models. Somebody had me demo a AI image generator that I had it take a picture of me, turn me into a professional bodybuilder. It was the most remarkable thing because typically when you go to ChatGPT and have that do that, it kind of gets the face a little bit wrong. But very clearly, and I could tell this from the grain pattern, what it had done is it had cut out my face and then only operated on the body. And so the face was a pixel to pixel perfect representation. And for a certain thing, you just want to change the logo on the shirt. You don't want to change anything else about the shirt. It seemed like a good value. Now, I was being gaslit by the founder who's like, no, we're not doing that. It's all in one network. And I was like, I don't care. I just want good images. It's cool. But where do you see the different like value added, like maybe less sexy, less pure end-to-end AI, but value creative opportunities in image and video generation? I could imagine like a multi-layer diffusion model that has a specific layer just to add text on top of images. So you're not trying to confuse those. I don't know if that's actually how these models work, but what do you see as valuable in terms of like merging multiple models to create a better end product, like the way O3 Pro has a web browser, a Python shell, and then also the ability to search the web and pull stuff together and reason?
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons why our business has higher margins than some LLM inference providers is because of this fragmentation of different kinds of models, different kinds of use cases. People are trying to chain these models together and create workflows. Both image and video models, they haven't really generalized yet. So you can't write a long prompt and expect, the image and video to edit itself. It's still a lot of model chaining and workflow generation. So like the use case you just said, like putting your face onto something else, it's like chaining couple models. And we have a lot of that behavior on the platform. The models are getting bigger and better. So some of that is actually happening, by the model itself, but still, unlike LLMs where it's like a single prompt and you expect it to write a book, but also generate code and generalizes very well. It doesn't happen for image and video yet.
Yeah, I can imagine there's tons of interesting enterprise like features and harnesses on top of the models that will be extremely value creative. So seems like you're in a good business, but everyone already knows that from the revenue and the fundraising. So congrats on all the progress, Jordy. Anything else?
We'll have you back on again soon.
We'd love to have you back. This is fantastic.
Thank
we'll
you
talk
so much.
To you soon.
Legend.
Bye.
Bye.
Let me tell you about Julius, the AI data analyst that works for you. Connect your data, ask questions in plain English, and get insights in seconds. No coding required. Sorry, Tyler, you're out of a job. I'm going to be using Julius. Try Julius for free.
See ya.
They're loved by over 2 million users and trusted by individuals at Princeton,
and you
ECG,
connect your Google Ads
Zapier.
account to Julius now. Run some numbers there.
Love that. Anyway, we have our next guest in the Restream waiting room. He's here now in the TBPN Ultradome. Welcome to the stream. How are you doing?
I am doing well, Jordy and John. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thanks for joining. Would you mind kicking us off with an introduction on yourself, your company, any news you got for us?
My name is Sudheesh. I'm the CEO of Tiny Fish. First of all, I'm very happy to be here. First time I got to know you was Soham Parikh. By the way, that was a great get.
Yeah, that's amazing. That was a great get. What a wild day on the internet.
Absolutely.
And how fast it's all gone too, though. I mean, it's all gone. So.
Yeah. I mean, we never got the full post-mortem on it. We'll need to check in, but he said he was
developing
going
too.
exclusive.
There's somebody named Soham Parikh, exact same spelling, that's been appearing on AI research papers.
Really? No.
People are trying to figure out, is it the same guy or is it just...
I saw that too, yeah.
Yeah.
I think TBPN needs to have an investigative arm. So.
I actually did talk to someone that was thinking about hiring him after the fact, and it seemed like it was not enough of a red flag, and they said they were going to give it a shot and hope that he
Wait, I thought he was
exclusive.
going exclusive.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so as far as I know, he is still exclusive, but I haven't done any research recently.
Fantastic.
So.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much.
Tell me about the company.
Really fan of how well you both have built something in the last 10 months. Entrepreneurs, investors, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
So,
thank you.
Tiny Fish, we just announced our 47 million funding.
Wow.
Series A, which
I was not ready for that.
Absolutely.
I needed a big number warning.
Soundboard. Absolutely huge.
Well,
Congratulations.
Nowadays, 47 million is like a seed round, right? Or a pre-seed.
Mango seed.
It's a seed round for a tiny fish these days.
Tiny fish. But congratulations.
Still a
lot of
tiny
money.
fish, though.
I'm sure you can do a lot with it. So what are you going to do with it?
Look, I think we are going to invent a category, build a category that makes sense, and build a great company. That's basically it. Prior to this, I was at ThoughtSpot and Nutanix. We have done some large enterprise companies. Co-founders, they all came from Meta and companies like large. We want to build a large company doing one thing, which is to make web browsing like humans do, but a superhuman scale for solving enterprise problems. We don't want to be a consumer company. I know you both have built companies. There are a lot of AI companies doing things in consumer space, browser agents and all of that. We want to do a massive scale of web browsing and turn the internet into a structured database for enterprise customers to analyze and act on.
Do you want to sell this to other software companies that are going to piece it together with other APIs to create maybe even more enterprise SaaS? Like, how deep do you see yourself in the stack?
Look, I think nowadays there is no difference between enterprise business and developers/builders because every enterprise product in the AI world starts as a builder product, somebody trying it out. We 100% want to be the best way anyone to connect code to internet. Because look, these models can solve math problems at International Math Olympics level, but when it comes to browsing, it's a mess. Because browsing is so complex that our brains make it look easy. Like think about going to a movie. The seat that you pick is a function of complex reasoning. If I'm going by myself, I can sit in front and read the movie. But if I'm far away with my family, I want to make the right place, right position, contiguous seats. These decisions we make without even thinking, not to mention the complexity of the website itself, how the pictures are popping, how there's like a pop-up here. These things need to be solved really well. We do that. So enterprise customers who want to browse 60% of all time of a knowledge work in enterprise is on browsing. And we think we can automate that through what we are calling enterprise web agents.
So we heard reports that some of the big labs were building RL environments with verified rewards, basically cloning DoorDash, creating clones of Amazon.com so that they could train an agent on the full Amazon.com web app, and then an agent would be able to check out for you. Are you doing something similar? What does data collection look like? What does training look like? What does differentiation look like in the world where these agents might need to be RL'd on a specific website to really get good results?
This is why I love talking to you guys. You geeks ask the right question to geeks. So. There are two models when it comes to these. One is synthetic websites like Web Arenas and others have built this. The other is paying money to say, let us go learn DoorDash workflows. Both are good, but both have downsides because both really create significant challenges with respect to scale when they come out of that environment. What we are doing is something very different. We have a proprietary architecture that we have built that freezes and takes a snapshot of a website in a way that exhaust feeds ourselves in a very scalable way. So yes, it is synthetic data that we are generating, but it is out of actual web. And more importantly, most of our use cases, we launched our company with a use case with Google Hotel as a customer. DoorDash is a customer.
Great. I try to give this advice to early stage founders. If you're going to get a customer early, just get Google.
Just start with a Mag 7.
Start with a Mag 7 customer.
Why not, right? They built this AI technology. I mean, it all started with all you need is attention, right? So these customers are giving us access. There's a customer who has 22 million web SKUs in the product. There is another customer, the 40,000 sub shops as part of them, ClassPass, we announced them, right? So these sort of things, while we are solving for them, is giving us a lot of data, and that exhaust is mined by our products for annotation and creating labeling that makes RL. The second thing I will tell you though, models are good at a lot of things, but they usually perform really well when the goal is straight and the reinforcement can be built on something where the context doesn't change. Web is exactly the opposite. Everything is context that is constantly changing. The goals are changing, the websites are changing, and the context is changing. So what we have done is we use reinforced learning and models for understanding and like sort of see what the heck we are trying to do here. Then we separate that and execute that code in CPU at massive scale. And then we use Alpha Evolve, a version of that, to make the code better. So separating exploration and execution is another fundamental thing that we've invented that is going to make this browser agents, Perplexity, Comet, and Operator and others, that is like forcing and feeding us. But this is where the execution framework. So that's an infrastructure problem. Think about the amount of browsers we have to spin up, the fingerprinting, the anti-bot, all of that infrastructure need to be solved.
Interesting. How do you think the competitive landscape will evolve? Amazon's launching a bunch of stuff. I'm sure all the clouds have something that looks like a browser agent on the shelf somewhere, but we've seen, Silicon Valley has, probably hundreds of stories about companies that have built things that have been competitive with the big hyperscalers and been wildly successful. But what's your specific plan?
There is a quote that often attributed to Chesty Puller, a Marine, that we are surrounded from the north, south, east, west, and I better watch out. I think this is one of those spaces where it is so amazing because there are three groups of companies that we will be competing with from a tech space. I mean, obviously, there is share shifting of dollars. One are the browser agents who are doing one thing, like Jody goes on a vacation, 20 minutes, he'll book a hotel for you. We want to sell to Expedia, not to Jody, because Expedia now want to simulate 100,000 Jody transactions from 50 states or 50 countries. How do we do that? So browser agents, to a certain extent, will be trying to expand to that space. I think we want to compete. The other is the infrastructure. So the browser base and others who have been building things, we want to build something enterprise grade with the surveillance, the governance, the control. So that's the second. Third is going to be another interesting area where the code gen and the developers builders who just want to connect their code to internet so it can do amazing things. There again, there are parallel. You guys interviewed Parag. I do think that we will compete with them some level, not because today we compete, but all of these will converge because there will be a few massive companies built on how browser access, how internet can be turned into a structured database. So exciting time. We've raised enough only because we want to make sure that we build it in a way that is where we can control our destiny. I have a lot of respect for all of these companies. But to me, if you're not surrounded by competitors, you're not in the right place.
I love it.
Yep, you're not going after a big prize.
Well,
but
congratulations.
Fantastic answer.
Good
Great to
luck
meet you.
out there. Have a good rest of your day. We'll talk to you soon.
I hope so. This was such a short conversation. I enjoyed. I'll keep watching. Thank you so much.
We'll talk to you soon.
Talk soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Let me tell you about ADIO. Customer relationship magic. ADIO is the AI native CRM that builds, scales, and grows your company to the next level. We have our next guest already in the Restream waiting room. We will bring her in now. How are you?
Welcome.
Hi. Nice to be here.
Great to meet you, Julie. What's happening?
Great to be here.
Would you mind kicking us off with a little bit of an introduction on yourself, your company, and maybe some of your background as well?
Sure. So I am one of the founders of Sundial. We are trying to build the cursor for data analysis. So we're trying to automate a lot of what data scientists will do so that we can help companies make better decisions with data. We work with great companies like OpenAI, Character, Captions. Before that, I led design and research for the Facebook product. I grew up at Meta. Back then it was called Facebook.
Could you explain for the audience what Facebook is? If they've been living under a data center? No, I'm kidding. Sorry.
So, if you guys become friends and your relationship gets to a certain level and you want to, let the world know, can
amazing.
Broadcast it online.
Official,
Amazing. Well, I think it feels like the absolute perfect background to build Sundial, because when I think people think about optimizing digital products and making decisions with massive amounts of data, people think Meta and they think Facebook, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I mean, you say that because you probably know more than most people, but I do think what makes Meta so good is that it was so freaking operationally rigorous. It was so good at actually capturing and modeling what made it a great business, and being like, just so on top of every little thing so that we could optimize, iterate, experiment, test, and eventually, get to that scale.
Yeah,
and did you guys, I imagine, had to rely on a bunch of internal tooling that you built in order to do that was proprietary, or what did that look like?
Absolutely. Yeah, everything was just homegrown because actually the whole concept, I would say that Meta probably introduced this idea of growth. I mean, now everybody's got growth teams, but back then that was like a new thing, and it was only created, with people like Chamath and Alex Schultz and Naomi, because Facebook was growing like crazy, and then one day growth kind of stalled. And I think this happens to every successful company, right? In the beginning, you're like, we're great. Our intuition is on. We're solid. Like everything hits. And then one day it stops hitting. And then everyone's like, oh my God, what happened? And there's a lot of questions, board members are calling. And then it becomes like, well, we have to figure it out. And the only way you can do that is with good observability.
Yeah, can you take us through like a concrete example of like one of the a case study of like design at Meta and how like some of the decision making linked to some of the data analysis you did? Like, do you have anything that you can share? I know it's been a while, but some of the stuff's probably private, but some of it you can probably share.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what's an example I can pull out. Well, I will say that like a lot of the process. So I think we kind of segment things into two worlds, right? The first is like, look, in order to build something new, you do need that spark of inspiration, and it usually comes from intuition. Like you need to kind of have like a vision, and so often that would be like the spark of the idea.
Sure.
But then as soon as you realize that you have like a hypothesis, like I think what people want is, better ways. Like if we give people more custom ways of sharing on Facebook, for example, they will share more. That's an example of like a particular hypothesis that somebody would have. And usually that comes with like an idea. You're like, if I build, a really awesome text editor, or I give them a way to record video, or, I make it super easy to like pull in a quote, right? Then people will go and share more. But the thing that you then need to do is to figure out, well, how quickly can you test whether that hypothesis is true? Like what's the kind of smallest thing that you can build that gives you either more or less assurance that this thing is the thing to bet on? And so we would try and figure out what's like the smallest framing of that experiment. And then if it seems like, okay, it's inclusive, or we actually think it might be promising, then you just double down, right? Then you like add more, you keep building. And I think that that's been like, this is like a super early example, but I think like hackathon project, like video was like a hackathon project that somebody did. And then very early on, like video came out after the hackathon, and it's like just very quickly you can see what will, like that people are actually using. In fact, maybe a better example now that I'm thinking about it is actually Feed. So Feed is one of those very early examples where people hated it. So Newsfeed came out. Before that, the way that people went to profiles is like, I would go to your profile, John. I would go to your profile, Jordy. I'd see if anything changed. But there was no system that automatically told me if you updated something. And so we launched Feed. This was like back in 2006. And there were like huge protests. In fact, like 1 million people within a week joined this Facebook group called I Effin' Hate Facebook Newsfeed, because people thought it was like, it was creepy. It was like, there's too much surveillance. But the reason I think Mark and the team, like we kept on it, is the fact that like through the numbers, like through the data, you could see that people were spending a lot of time on Newsfeed. And in fact, the reason they knew to join this group, I effing hate Newsfeed, is because of Newsfeed. Like it was, hilarious. They were like, so it just was like very obvious to us that this was working despite what people were saying about it.
Yeah. Can you talk about preference falsification more broadly? Was that like a hard-won lesson that carried through? It feels like Meta has really like absorbed that lesson, and it continues to inform the company culture. Have you carried that idea of preference falsification forward into your career? How do you think about that disconnect between what people say and then what they actually do? I
think it just like you have to gather the data. You just have to look at, like you can say, okay, look, this is what I see. I see like data. Their data is that people tell us they don't like it, or they tell us they're feeling one way or another, right? So I think about qualitative feedback as data, customer surveys or data. Like anything is data, but also behavior. Like what do people actually do? What do they click on? Where are they spending their time and attention? And the more we can have all of that in one place, the better, like a better, more realistic and accurate view of reality we have.
When should a company sign up for Sundial? Because I think it's almost a meme in Silicon Valley. If you launch a product early and you're obsessing maybe too much over the data, you could end up actually going down the wrong path. And there's points in which maybe you disagree with this, where the actual just like founder's intuition is what's going to get you to that sort of takeoff with the product. But what's your read?
I agree with that. I do think that there's such a thing as like obsessing too early. Like when you don't have product market fit, you probably have to take bigger swings. You're probably not in the business of trying to optimize. But I think if you feel like you have product market fit, you're clearly scaling your team. Like you're like, okay, I probably need a growth person. I probably need a data. Like the reason you want a growth or data person is you want to pour more fuel on the fire. Like you want to understand what works and what doesn't. And so what all of these roles are trying to do is start a series of experimentation and just like, again, get to better visibility, right? Better observability for it. Like what we all want to do is just build a mental model. Like this is how the business works. And if you tweak this thing, more money goes up. And you tweak this, more users, right? We want to build a very real and influenceable model. And that is what like all of that work of trying to build and do analysis is there to help us do.
Did you overlap with Loredana at Meta? Can you tell me a little bit
Yes.
about her? Well, yeah. Everyone, she was in the Wall Street Journal earlier this week. What's made her? What's the secret to her impact?
So Loredana joined as a design lead, and I think she took over Messenger, so Facebook Messenger, and I think the team was pretty small then, maybe about 8 designers, and she helped scale that up to like 200 designers, and eventually she actually became the product group lead. So the product group lead is kind of like the GM role. Yeah. And in fact, there's not that many examples of design leaders who become GMs, like engineers can become GMs. Like I think Adam Mosseri, head of Instagram, is one. I think Loredana is probably the other that I can recall. So she ended up actually leading all of Messenger. I think recently she went to go work on AI. And I just saw the news that she is joining as Figma's new chief design officer, which is fantastic news. I absolutely adore Loredana. I think she is fabulous.
Yeah, we'll have to get her on the show. That would be it'd be fun to dig into. Anyway, Jordy, anything else?
I have a bunch more questions, but I don't think we have time.
Yeah.
So
well, thank you so much for hopping
on. Congrats on all the progress so far.
This is fantastic. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.
Cheers. Gabe in the chat says, "Whoa, she has a headset on. How can I long this company?"
I love it.
Totally
yeah, the
agree.
Headset's great.
It's just.
Let me tell you about Numeral HQ, sales tax on autopilot. Spend less than 5 minutes per month on sales tax compliance. You can get started for free. Benchmark Series A. Let's go.
Let's go.
Our next guest is in the Restream waiting room. We will bring them into the TBPN Ultradome.
Jacob, welcome to the show. Finally. We've been waiting for this moment. It took us so long.
I'm pretty good. How are you guys?
We're doing great. Give us the breakdown. What'd you launch today?
Cohort 3 applications are live.
Let's go.
Boom. Hit it.
So the best part here is the video. I assume you guys may have watched it, but it's, I think, the best Gundo hype video.
Wait, can we pull it up?
That's a tall order.
Can we pull it up?
Yeah, production team. Ben, can you pull up the latest Discipulous Ventures post? Maybe we can put it in the chat. Can you send it to them?
I'm trying to find it right now.
Jacob's X.
Throw it in the chat.
We will pull this up. We might need to watch this after you hop off. But give us the update on the previous cohorts. Who's in those? What companies are you in? What's the general thesis? What's the why now for this particular organization? Break it down to me.
Yeah. So cohort 1 was in Rainmaker and Valor at the time. Yeah. Their office, they were sharing it. They were both pre-seed stage. I think it was still very much like, is this going to work or is this not going to work? I think now we're at the point where like, okay, something's working here really well. And I think the big kind of thesis and point here is like we want to be like that entry point to what's going on in El Segundo.
Yep.
The culture is very attractive to mostly young people who want to build companies that really do matter a lot for the country, and have kind of been pushed away from other ecosystems that don't really care about that. And then in two, practically, like if you want to build in hardware or aerospace defense, you should be in El Segundo.
Yep.
SpaceX started down the street for where I'm based, and the best talent, the supply chain, the whole supply chain, and a lot of the customers are in the El Segundo area. So it's like if you want to build in El Segundo, if you're building in aerospace defense and hardware and want to be part of the ecosystem, we want to be that way to do that.
Yeah.
Companies wise,
Augusta said earlier Rockefeller built El Segundo. I never knew that. What's the lore there?
The oil company.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's Chevron. Like there is a massive oil and gas extraction, oil refinery there. When you're in El Segundo, you see it.
The whole town was built out to service.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell the story.
I'll give the rundown. So El Segundo means the second. It means the second Chevron refinery in the state of California.
Yep.
So that's the reason why.
Yep.
So it's very cool. But on the company work with,
we got the video if you guys want it.
Yeah. Let's play the video.
Let's play it.
We're gonna switch over to the video. This is the fall cohort applications are live now. Yeah, hit the soundboard. Why not just add an extra layer on top? Are we gonna get taken down for this? Is this a open source song? Hopefully, we'll see. This is good.
It is necessary and it is fair that every human being in the United States.
It's a lot of backs that are familiar. Adults, I can call them just by their shoulders. It's a cool presentation. Let's go.
Holy based.
Good sound editing. There's Isaiah. There's Augustus. We got cameos on cameos.
Strong and to keep America free.
There we go.
With the
yes, we got it.
Wow.
We're definitely getting demonetized.
Thank you for demonetizing us. It was worth it.
It was worth it. Take me through the economics. So how much money do you raise for each cohort? How much money are you putting in? Well, what's the deal structure? Like, what do the companies actually get out of going through the cohort?
Yeah. So I guess just top big picture, Fund 1 ended up being right around the $9 million mark.
Wow.
We're basically doing 5 cohorts out of this. So 3 next year, 1 end of year in October.
Yep.
The basic kind of structure, each cohort, we do 10 to 12 founders. So in a 100K check per company.
That's sizable.
So it'll be around 1.2 mil per cohort, and then that'll go across the rest. And a little bit for follow-on for kind of pro rata.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it's a kind of standard deal. Cohort itself is like, main thing, again, you want to be in El Segundo, we're the way to do that. You have all the big name people everybody knows. Like, we can give you access to them just like that. And we think that's very valuable early on to kind of become like, a consensus bet in a way. Just to have those behind you is very helpful. And then we have a demo day. We bring out like 120. I think we had 120 partners last time from top firms, like just like that, access to all of them. So that's kind of the breakdown. We have a house. It's very fun. We have a chef. We have a gym. Everything you need to build an amazing
Are you officially taking over from Augustus's job as El Segundo tour guide? Because there was like a solid 6-month period where every single VC and founder would hit up Augustus and be like, okay, time for the tour. Let me go around.
He doesn't have time for that.
I don't think he has time for it anymore. He's on the road a lot.
Yeah, it's funny. I have too many texts from VC saying, hey, I want to see El Segundo, show me around. So I think I've taken that. I think it's more of a free job for me than him. But one actually
cool. Here's the wire details, and then I'll take you on the tour.
Exactly. But also on that point, we had the most recent bonfire, which a couple of you guys were at last Friday.
Oh, Tyler.
Gus was like, okay, you're taking this over. And we had like, I think close to 200 people come out, which was pretty awesome, which was like, I think a record, hopefully for one of the bonfires.
Wow, a venture capital firm absorbing an iconic networking series. Where have we seen this before?
It's interesting. I'll be like completely honest. When I saw Disciplus launch, I wasn't. I've backed a bunch of I've backed Rainmaker, I've backed Shinkai, bunch of the Gundo companies, but it didn't immediately click for me. But hearing you talk about it, it's just like And obviously, we're super close with Gary and the whole YC team, and they've backed a bunch of hard tech companies. And so my immediate thought was like, do we need something like this? Do we need a new institution? And hearing you talk about it and seeing the progress from the Portco so far, it just makes a ton of sense to have like an institution in El Segundo, because we can't just rely on the city to give tour guides to people that want to.
A couple of years ago, I went and did the tour of El Segundo.
You created
a couple.
You helped facilitate the meme.
There were a bunch of folks that were highlighting it, and the energy was very similar to like Mountain View in 2009 or 2012, in my opinion. Like it had that like University Ave feel. Like it's just boring enough. Like you're in LA, but it's not like this hot town that you're going to get distracted by. Like it's really just like a lot of cool companies building. And then you walk across the street, there's another founder. They have some tool. Like it actually makes sense to have people sharing stuff and moving stuff around. Yeah, it's a very, very, very cool community. It makes a ton of sense.
Well, congratulations on the launch of the new application window. I haven't run this by John, but hopefully he agrees. We'll sponsor the next bonfire.
Let's do it.
Count us in.
Can't
wait.
You'll have to come to the Purple Orchid as well afterwards.
I've been to the Purple Orchid. It's a lot of fun. It's a good spot.
Awesome.
They do the Dragon Bowls there that you drink out of.
Dragon Bowls.
Dragon Bowls.
They light them on fire.
Never been big into.
They light them on fire. Yeah.
Awesome.
Anyway,
well, congrats, Jacob.
Thanks so much for hopping
Super
on.
exciting.
We will talk to you soon. Have a great rest of your day.
Awesome. Thank
Cheers.
you guys.
In the meantime, let me tell you about Linear. Linear is a purpose-built tool for planning and building products. Meet the system for modern software development, streamline issues, projects, and product roadmaps.
Cursor,
Head over
Remote,
to
Runway, Perplexity,
Linear.
Retool, Mercury, Raycast, Ramp. They all use it.
We have another 3 hours of content to go through. I like this post from Growing Daniel. The opposite of FOMO is when you skip an event and then everyone who went says it sucked. Vindication of missing out. And Tyler Cowan says VOMO.
VOMO.
I think VOMO is a good one. Vindication.
It's simply the best.
It is the best.
It simply is the best.
It is the best. I'm trying to think of the last time I had VOMO. I don't want to put anyone on blast, but I've certainly said no to things.
Well, let's keep going through the timeline.
Please.
John, can you text Gabe?
Yes.
And see if he is still coming on. He confirmed one. We moved him up 10 minutes. We might need to do some timeline.
I'm happy to hang out.
Yeah, we can hang out. So Sophie, Netcap Girl, is showing a post saying, there must be some mistake. I thought I'd be working on digital superintelligence, and it is an angry a man in a military uniform saying, build the goon bot. And so there's a lot of that going on right now. Luke Leisure has another post in response to the UK Independent Space Agency is entirely scrapped to cut costs. And we have Matthew McConaughey here saying, we used to look up at the sky and wonder at our place in the stars. Now we look down and worry about our place in the dirt. KPMG wrote a 100-page prompt to build a agentic tax bot. It produces advice in a single day instead of 2 weeks without job losses. And Ex Nihilio says 100-page prompt is crazy. You ever ripped a 100-page prompt, John?
I've gotten close. I've used a lot of those like repurposed prompts that people have online. Oh, this is the super prompt. Never got in the habit of like daily driving one of those. Dwarkesh Patel had a good prompt in Gemini that would take a transcript and clean it up, and it gave a really like the 100 pages was really like 100 pages of examples. Basically, like here's what a messy transcript looks like out of just like a transcription service where the speakers aren't labeled and there aren't necessarily paragraph breaks. You give it a ton of extra. You give it a ton of extra context, but a ton of extra examples, and then that makes it perform a lot better because it understands the job.
Yep.
But yeah, 100-page prompt is pretty wild.
So Kafka Esquire says, just one more model, bro. Just one more funding round, bro, please. And this post from Walter Bloomberg, esteemed journalist.
Where did this come from? This
was from some interview.
Okay.
And
this feels like
to
it's
be
taken
clear,
out of context,
taken out of context. The headline was OpenAI CEO Sam Altman concedes GPT-5 was a misfire, bets on GPT-6. And this has been going pretty viral. People are poking a little fun. I think in some ways, the Death Star kind of set them up for this.
Yeah.
Doubleberg Capital says just 1 more trillion, bro. Honestly, I swear.
I mean, my take on this is that like the numbered releases should just go. When Facebook introduced the feed, they stopped saying we're changing things.
It's a good take,
because
sir.
when you say
it's a good take, sir.
Yeah. When you tell everyone we're changing everything, people are like, I don't like change. But if instead you just say like, yeah, like every day Facebook gets a slightly different update and the algorithm's slightly different. And then some days people are like, the algo's not really for me right now. And then they complain enough and then you get the feedback and then they tweak and they make it better and better and better. Like, I feel like we should just be in the era of GPT is what powers chat.com, and it's constantly getting better. And stop focusing on the size of the pre-training bubble. Stop focusing on the parameters if you're a consumer. Stop focusing on the numbers. Start focusing on your sleep number, your sleep score. Go to 8sleep.com. Exceptional sleep without exception. Fall asleep faster, sleep deeper, wake up energized. You can discover Pod 5 at 8sleep.com. And I believe we have our next guest, Gabe from Mischief. How you doing, Gabe?
There he is.
Welcome to the stream.
What's
you are
going
live
on?
At the TBPN Ultradome. What's new with you? How you doing? I think everyone knows you. Maybe just launch into the announcement this week about the private military corporation that you're starting.
You saw the Twitter. I didn't think anybody looked at that. Interesting.
Oh, everyone saw that.
Yeah. It's sure. What do we do this week? Well, we launched an agency called Applied Mischief.
Yep.
The agency, honestly, like to rewind, where does that even come from? And a lot of people don't actually understand this about Mischief, because probably what you see is like videos of people wearing boots or like press headlines or whatever. Yeah. But the way we're actually organized is we are essentially a holding company of different creative enterprises based on categories. So there's like a handbag division, there's a footwear division, there's a fine art division. There are other divisions I can't really talk about yet, but with like more bigger permanent structures. Well,
you talked about a division you can't talk about, so I hit the.
Oh, nice. We've been operating like that for a second now, and to make that efficient, there's been an internal back office that's like normal stuff, right? Like finance, legal, manufacturing, customer support, but also like design and marketing.
Yep.
And that's a group that not only does design, but also applies that sort of like Mischief magic, like viral juice or whatever.
Yeah.
So the thinking here was we might as well open up that to external clients. Yep. It can become a profit center, which is great. But the other part is like maybe it can make our world a little bit bigger too, because we're hungry for more formats. We've made so much stuff over the last like 6 years. What have we not touched yet? And like maybe we won't get sued this time around. Like maybe there's just stuff that we can do that's like cool. We can.
It's there. What seems obviously exciting to me is partnering with global companies. I mean, sure, I'm sure you'll partner with startups and scale ups and things like that. But what gets exciting at a certain point has to be scale.
There's
where,
so much more
hey, instead of selling like 1,000 of this thing, can we figure out?
It's
can we
like
partner
when
with
Spike
a company
Jones does an Apple ad. It's like that's just not. There's just special. There's something special about that. About just like giving it. It's almost like patronage in some ways. It's marketing, but it's just like it's still art and it's cool and it's like unbridled.
No, totally right. Like the way that we look at these is like it's not a service that we're providing necessarily. Like there are brands and entities in culture that we perceive as cultural material. Yep. The same way an artist looks at their material as like paint or sculpture or marble or whatever. Like for us, Coca-Cola is material. Give us that, and we'll make something new with it instead of fabricating a marketing story to sell more units that people see through now anyways, right? Totally. The opportunity is like there's just so much cultural material being left on the table to make new things with.
So talk to me about inbound versus outbound. I feel like in that vein of like there's cultural material, if you come up with just like, I have a great idea, it would only work for this particular brand because the nature of the idea is tied deeply to the lore of that brand. They're never going to think about this, but the only value I could get out of this is selling it to them. Are you going outbound and pitching big companies and saying, I have the idea for you? Or is it more like there is an actual process where you can sit down and do ideation?
I'm doing outbound right now.
Nice.
This is a message for Gabe Newell from Valve. We want to design your submarine.
Yes, cool. Let's go. I love that. That would be an amazing project.
That's the outbound. That's what I want to do. Or extraterrestrial space research organizations. We want to design the bit that you're putting into space.
I love it.
We were Fast Company's #1 design in the world in 2023. People don't think about that because they think about viral, but if you actually look at like what we do, it is unparalleled.
Yep.
So let's like put some stuff.
We got a space play for you with a company that we're very close with. I won't say any more.
Okay.
But,
well, we'll talk after the stream.
I have a bunch of questions. One quickly on the business model of the new agency. Is there a world where you would the standard agency model will be like, hey, let's do this project and we'll charge you like $1 million or a couple $1 million. Yep. But there's some scenarios where you could actually, I imagine, if it was a one-off, more like drop style, you could take a percentage of the sales even. Is that something you would ever explore to get to really bet on yourselves and say like, hey, we think we could sell like $10 million of this and we'll only price based on success? Is that something you would consider doing?
It's totally on the table, and that's not even uncommon from like the collaboration route. Like some of the collaborations that we've done in the past have been that kind of model where it's like you make a bunch of product together, we both invest on our own ends, and then you split the cut afterwards. I think what's more interesting though is because of Mischief's position as like this artistic entity, like in a way, like we have a personality, we have an audience. And so we're actually like building a pipeline of joint ventures with bigger brands.
That's what I was getting at.
Yeah, right? It's not even about 10,000 units. We're talking about millions of units.
Yeah, over forever, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like I want a Mischief themed line of kids' toys, right? Like I would happily buy those. I would buy a bunch of those, right? And so that's like, if you partner with the right company, that should be in the my personal lifetime value would be in the hundreds of dollars, and I would even pay a premium because I know it's you guys behind it. Another question I have, I've leveraged the drops kind of model to do marketing. I was inspired by you guys to do marketing for my last company, Party Round. And something that I've noticed recently, a lot of companies in tech say they want to do drops, and it's because they're inspired by Mischief, and they just see like drops get attention. I want attention.
One drop, please, sir.
One drop, please.
One drop, please.
The usual, sir.
Sign me up.
No, but the thing I usually push back on, and the thing I'm curious to get your opinion on, is like I think when companies think they want to do drops, what they really want to do is true advertising, and they don't even know the difference. And so, like, where's that line for you, and how often would you talk to a company and it's like what you really want is to do advertising?
Yeah, just like a consistent message delivered via every channel forever might be the right thing for
not
you
even
right
forever
now.
or like for a few months or for a quarter. Yeah,
I would take it even further, and it's like that is the final goal, which is like get a message out into the people, get them talking, whatever. But like the focus on the drop is misplaced. Yeah. Drop is just a delivery mechanism for something new. What these guys are actually looking for, like what they actually want at the end of the day, is how do you break through the noise? And right now you can either just make more content, which honestly, the ROI I think is going down on that. There's too much content and not enough demand.
Yep.
Sorry, it's just how it is. But the opportunity is you can make new things that fit within your brand parameters, that use your brand as cultural material, that are actually interesting, that are tactile, that have a story to them. And if they happen to be ephemeral, then it's a drop. But don't get hung up on the drop. Just make something interesting. That's all it is.
Are ideas valuable? And if you had to, what kind of think about like making something new, how much is it the idea versus the execution?
Also, do you hire do you hire idea guys and then like operational excellent people? And is there like a dividing line?
Yeah, and to me, John and I will sit down with companies that we're friends with, and we'll generate like 20 ideas. It ends up being super frustrating because you're like, we're feeding you this like incredible idea. It doesn't even cost a lot to do, and if you do it right, like it could be like $1 million of like brand value, however you want to measure that. But it feels like you can give people these things that in your hands they might be $1 million ideas, but
poorly executed.
They're a negative value.
Yeah.
Totally. I think it's like squeezing a balloon on two ends. Like there's the conceptual power and then there's the execution. There are things where like the concept is really high and the execution doesn't have to be crazy. You don't need a huge budget. It's just a good idea and it's going to work. What you typically see a lot of brands do is they're afraid of good ideas because good ideas have not been done by definition. So they lean more on the execution and you see like large budgets and like huge bloated teams and production. So it's sort of like, now if you can dial in both, that's the magic, right? But that's really hard to do because more money, more risk. You want to de-risk on the concept side. John, to your question, I don't hire idea people. Everyone here is an idea person. I'll give you an example. A couple of years ago, we made handbags, right? They're very expensive. The smaller they get, the more expensive they become. So we made a microscopic handbag that sold at auction for $63,000 at Paris Fashion Week at Pharrell's whatever coronation of Louis Vuitton. That idea came from a summer intern. Anyone here can have an idea, right? The lawyer, our general counsel joins brainstorms. Our ops lead joins brainstorms because being creative doesn't mean you have good ideas. Being creative just means you're human. You have insights and you have reactions to things that are going around you. That's it. And then also like being creative means you're not afraid to like look stupid. And I think that's like a big defining trait here because anybody can look stupid here, including myself.
What have you ever seen highly complex ideas work well as marketing, advertising stunts? This is something that we end up talking
I think
with.
David Ogilvy said like simple ideas are powerful ideas. That's certainly something I've seen in Mischief's work throughout your entire career. But is there some sort of contrarian or nuance to that concept?
I think there could be. The line that we use here is a good idea should slap in one sentence and then slap even harder in three. And that just means there are layers, right? Like you appreciate it for the headline, but if you like really dig into it, you're like, wait up, is this thing making fun of me? And do I still like it? And am I going to buy it? And if I buy it, am I a chump or am I a patron of the arts, right? It's like the layers are good. The ambiguity is good. But at the end of the day, like from a marketing perspective, just being practical right now, like people's attention spans are so low. And honestly, like people are we're all like very distracted. So you don't have a lot of window to like nail it. So you do got to have that one-liner like pretty dialed in.
Yeah. How dialed in is your crystal ball when it comes to releasing new things on the internet? Like, do you feel like you usually have like a pretty accurate sense of how much attention something will get?
Do you get surprised?
Or do you still get surprised often?
Totally still get surprised. Like you always get surprised. I think it's easy for us to fall in a comfort zone where we're like, oh yeah, like this will work. Because what that ends up doing is you start coming up with ideas based on a framework of what has worked. So we actually put in a lot of effort to come up with formats and mechanisms that don't really fit into our existing framework that we're like, oh, I don't know if this is going to work. And is this offensive? I don't know. Are people going to buy slices of this giant foam baby that we're cutting up in Brooklyn? I don't know. They did. But no, you know, like.
Is there a project that you think is like criminally underrated? People are obviously familiar with the boots. They're familiar with the shoes and the footwear stuff and some of the other projects. But what's your example of a project you're like, that's still like one of my favorites?
Good question. And the reason it didn't really get seen as much is because, to be honest, we were a little bit scared.
Okay.
And so we buried it in an art show that we did. But are you guys familiar with the paradox of the ship of Theseus?
Yes, but explain it for the listener.
Totally. So it's like it's this old paradox where imagine you have this like large wooden ship, and every day over 7 years you're coming up with a new piece of wood identical to a piece of wood on the ship, and you are swapping it out. The question is, after 7 years, is it the same ship or is it a different ship? We found that a very interesting question, and so we decided to apply that in our own way to a sink located in the American wing of the Metropolitan Museum of Art.
As one does.
How did
As
you do
one
that?
does.
Yeah, explain.
And so we found the sink. We did recon. We not me. It wasn't me personally. It was somebody here. Names, but we found. We tracked down the serial numbers, the parts, ordered exact like replica. We ordered the exact same parts, built it here, tied off the dimensions of the bathroom here so that we could practice swapping things out. And then over many months, we would walk into the Met and do a quick swap and leave. And then the next day, do it again and do it again, bolt by bolt, screw by screw.
Just an art enthusiast. I just like art, and I go to the bathroom. That's all.
That's
why I'm here.
big. How did you get the big piece through? Isn't there like one piece that's big?
So that we decided to leave.
Okay.
That one we did not swap out, although we had
a plan.
We fabricated a wheelchair that could have hit it in the seat, but that, I'm telling you, we got a little bit. We were honestly scared.
You got a little carried away.
We still did it. We got everything else, and so yeah, they have our sink and we have their sink, and ours is now part of like our art gallery. So
that's amazing.
Although I believe they figured it out and they've replaced it, because as soon as we announced the art show, even though the sink was sort of like hidden in all of the other pieces, people definitely found out, and there was a line in the Met for that bathroom.
They should have sectioned it off, turned it into an installation.
So if anyone out here, if any of your viewers are on the board of the Met, the coolest thing you could do right now is acquire that sink from us and put it back.
Let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen, Army.
How many millions of dollars do you think you've left on the table by not doing crypto projects?
The painful question.
Is it like it has to be like 100 million? Like at least.
Yeah, probably. Honestly, probably. Yeah.
And is there like there? I'm sure at some point there will actually be a way to do this. Like there has to be something that makes sense. Like we did something back in the day with Party Round where we did. It was called Helpful VCs, where we made crypto punks for every VC, and then we put them on a website. And we said, you have 4 hours to retweet these, otherwise we're going to auction them off. And it was like, it's for like charity, right? We weren't like trying to make money. And that was like one of the ways that we broke through. And like shortly after,
I think there might be something to do with crypto and like stable coins where there's not as much gambling involved, but there might be something with crypto. I don't know.
Yeah. You have to you have to make it not like a speculation, based
because
activity.
as soon as you leave the people who get the joke and then the people who don't get the joke show up, and then they're losing their life savings. That doesn't feel good. Whereas like if somebody is bidding on that handbag, like they probably know what they're doing. They understand that it's not loose, and they understand that.
Look, I think that crypto route for us is we've often plotted our own death, and I think there's like a chaotic, evil way to go out where you just pull that rug.
Yeah.
I shouldn't even be saying that because now everybody's going to know.
No, everybody's going to know.
Well, I think switching gears to another topic that I'm sure you guys. So one, I don't think AI is going to take your guys' jobs anytime soon, despite it being able to maybe piece together random ideas. It's so much about taste and things like that. But how excited are you to leverage that technology for some of these various plays?
Honestly, TBD, and I think I will say, like, unlike the whole like crypto craziness of the last couple of years, we didn't get into that because we didn't feel like it was here to stay yet. That's like the truth. Like when you see the herd run so fast, it usually means they're running towards the end of a cliff. There's a little bit of a similar sentiment right now. That said, it is rooted in something real, but we're not in a rush to like use it necessarily, right? If it's going to be here forever, we've got time. Like Mischief doesn't win as a first mover. If you look at all of our work, it was never about being the first to react to something or the first to like make use of a format. So we'll see. We just have to see.
How do you think about, are there any projects, like time is an interesting variable that you can play with, right? Like part of the thing with the sync stunt that you guys did is just the narrative and the story of like, you guys were conducting this in secret for a long time. It was like a very, and that's part of what makes it so entertaining is kind of like the lore of what went into it. But have you thought about even longer term plays, like things that you could do over a decade or 50 years that in hindsight would just be absolutely hilarious and but again take this sort of incredible planning?
Yeah. Honestly, we are at that stage of just like our lives and as a company now to be thinking like that, right? Because like if you think about it,
if you would, you know, I know you guys have a few investors. If you told your investors, first thing we're working on is a 50-year stunt, and you're there to tell you like, all right, buddy, like, why don't you put some points on the board first?
Yeah.
But you guys, I feel like have earned it now. Like I you know, something like a decade.
No, yeah, because like we spent basically like we've only been around for the pandemic and like a little bit post-pandemic, right? And all of that was just like, you don't know what's coming, like live day by day, like just survive, like banks are shutting down, okay, get through till tomorrow, right? And now we've been around for a second, we're more well known, we have our existing infrastructure, and now we really are asking the questions of like, okay, what does that legacy look like in 10 years? Or should we disappear for 20 years and then come back? That would actually be the coolest thing we could do, is go dark for 2 decades and then come back.
The banger.
It's worked for other artists. Could you do something? So we both loved Nathan Fielder's latest sort of like aviation stunt television show. I've
heard a lot about it. I haven't watched it.
I mean, you should. It's one of the few people in the world that I think is executing on your guys' level in the sense of.
He's next level. No question.
Yeah, like one sentence, you know, pitch that's hilarious, but then the more you get into it, like the funnier it is. Better, yeah. But could you do something like that for like the cost of housing or something like that? Like sort of a decade-long stunt. Like
I don't know.
Mischief figures out a way to like reduce, you know, cut the cost of housing in the United States.
I mean, that was crazy.
Like we, if there are any like pricey neighborhoods that would love to commission us as an artist to install a sculpture, we have a really good trailer that we would love to erect in a public square that will drive.
I can just see like the right RV. Like there's this RV outside of our gym.
Yeah. Kind of yellow from the sun.
Yep.
Like the windows open.
Aluminum on the outside. Yeah, Winnebago. It can be a stunt for Winnebago Corporation.
What do you? How do you feel about the state of social media, like broadly? It feels like we've gotten to a point where, in many ways, the platforms look so similar, but they also have their own character. Some of them are becoming Lindy, even thinking about how durable like Twitter and X have been despite all this change. What's your and do you feel like you need to use social media, or are you better off not using it and then just releasing, you know, stuff on the platforms?
Yeah. It's definitely a love-hate relationship with the platforms, right? Because like platforms, if you really think about it, they started as a way to share things that you found were interesting, and now they are mostly ways to share photos and videos of you talking about things that you find interesting. It's kind of become like less novelty based and more vanity based. Just fine. That's like a fundamental human instinct, so I get it. I would continue to love to find a way to not use the platforms to disseminate information. And that's kind of how we started. Our first audience portal was Venmo. We had a huge audience on Venmo, and we like had this huge phone bank, like a Chinese phone click farm. And every time we had a new project, we would Venmo our audience a penny, and they would get that notification, because that's the most powerful notification layer in your phone.
The cha-ching.
Money, right?
Yeah.
I am now banned from Venmo for life.
Well, PayPal.
They want to work with Applied Mischief. Let me know.
PayPal. We'll have the CEO of PayPal on.
I think the last company that came on works with Venmo. We'll work on it.
We should get this reversed. This is important. We were reading an article in the New Yorker yesterday about this concept of IRL brain rot. The examples were the viral Labubu's, Dubai chocolate, the viral Italian sandwich. We saw a few of these. Joe Weisenthal at Bloomberg was also writing about these kind of like viral as being something that you stamp on your product as a product feature almost. And I was wondering if you're worried about the spillover from internet slop culture into the real world, just kind of how you're tussling with this idea of brain rot coming into the real world. I don't even know if you read the article or you have thoughts there, but
I think I saw it on Instagram. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. You probably did a front-facing video talking about it, or you saw someone do a front-facing video talking about it.
Exactly. Reaction video.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it would. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but like what Mischief has put out historically is kind of in that brain rot category.
I mean the boots, right?
Yeah,
like
it's like absurd aesthetic, and maybe even I could be so conceited as to say we were part of creating that.
The meta.
Responsible.
No, you guys definitely that it was an era of minimalism, and it was like the Everlane era.
Quiet luxury.
The boots are like an incredible reaction to that,
but
of being
absurd aesthetic, just like popping imagery off of your screen.
Yep.
But then the challenge with this trend, right, is if you go back to minimalism, it actually becomes. I mean, maybe as like for me, right, I became part of the Mischief audience and Mischief customer in my early 20s. I'm in my late 20s now. Eventually, maybe I'd want some ultra minimalist, Mischief item for my home. But at the same time, like once you get on the maximalist track, like you're kind of on this maximalism treadmill where you just got to keep like going crazier and crazier. And maybe in the internet era, there's no turning back.
It's totally possible, right? Like we might have built a machine so effective that it's now our master. And like, how do you break free from that, right? But I'm not too worried. Like we actually don't think so hard about it. We just kind of make the things that we like. And then if it ever stops working, then
do something else. Figure it out.
Exactly.
Well, I have an idea to put out in the ether. I think next time an A-list celebrity is going through a massive comms crisis, PR crisis, or a scandal, they should hire you guys to create something more viral than the scandal.
They just need to do another crisis to compete with that. All they got to do is go to Twitter and be like, send a Bitcoin to this address and I'll send you 2 Bitcoin. And then they actually do it. They actually do it.
That's genius. Yeah, that is a one-time get out of jail free card. You heard it 100%. Here first.
Just payoffs.
If you're a celebrity and you're in trouble, you're caught at a Coldplay concert. That's the only way you can reverse the tide.
You will be good. Yeah,
sure.
Free idea. Sure. Go for it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
This is great. Yeah, thank you.
It's really great to get the update and just hear your so much clarity on all these different areas that we talk about all the time.
Yeah, we could talk for hours. Yeah, we'd love to have you back whenever it makes sense.
Gabe and I kicked around an idea that we won't share now. We'll leverage that for your next appearance. I can't wait for it.
100%.
Let's do it.
Awesome.
I'll talk
great to catch up.
Cool.
See you.
Cheers.
Bye.
Absolute legend.
One of the best to ever.
What if we found
do
out
it.
that Dubai chocolate was a Mischief stunt?
It's possible. It's possible.
Anything's possible.
Well, if you want to do a stunt, you want to promote a stunt, you want to have some fun with billboards, head over to adquick.com. Out-of-home advertising made easy and measurable. Say goodbye to the headaches of out-of-home advertising. Only AdQuick combines technology, out-of-home expertise, and data to enable efficient, seamless ad buying across the globe. You should also get a hitter. Go over to Bezel, getbezel.com. Shop
That's
over
right.
26,000 luxury watches, fully authenticated in-house by Bezel's team of experts. What you got for me on the timeline, Jordy Hayes?
Wow. Our
Timeline's in turmoil. Are you seeing this Francois Cholet post, or you want to go somewhere else?
I was saying our next guest has a 133 ETA.
Okay.
Coming into the studio. David Senra says a fire broke out on my route to the studio.
Oh no, we'll have to read more posts.
No, he said, little do they know, nothing will stop extreme podcasting.
Let's go.
We'll
Very
see you in a
excited
little
for
bit,
our
David.
in-person guest today.
Yeah, let's dive into this post. If you
Yes.
want to read through it.
Yes. So there is a debate. Francois Cholet and someone named Oyvind on the timeline. So there's this debate around how will AI impact worker productivity. It's very clear that when you use AI, it feels like you're getting a speed up. When you use a coding agent, it feels like you're getting a speed up. Meter did a study and found that maybe some AI tools are making you less performant, but so there's this debate, and for a long time there was this idea that AI will supercharge workers and labor, and anyone who's using AI will be more productive than someone who's not. And the advice that was given by pretty much everyone in the industry was like, you need to learn how to use AI effectively, because if you don't, you'll be left behind. And so Oyvind shares that LLM adoption rose to 45.9% among U.S. workers 18 plus as of June-July 2025, according to a Stanford World Bank survey. Inference demand will continue to surge, not just as more and more usage per user, but as newer, more advanced Gen AI models require far more compute. And so obviously, no one was using LLMs just a few years ago. Now, almost half of the American workforce over age 18 are using AI tools in their daily work. Francois Cholet, of course, is asking the question about when is this going to show up in the economic statistics. He says LLM adoption among U.S. workers is closing in on 50%. Meanwhile, labor productivity growth is lower than in 2020. Many counter arguments can be made here, like they don't know yet how to be productive with it. They've only been using it for 1 to 2 years. 50% is still too low to see impact. Models next year will be unbelievably better, et cetera. But I think we now have enough evidence to say that the 2023 talking point that LLMs will make workers 10 times more productive, some folks even quoted 100x, is probably not accurate. And so he gets in a little bit of a turmoil here, a little dust up with Noam Brown, Polynomial over at OpenAI. Francois continues and explains a little bit more of his reasoning here. He says, by the way, I don't know if people realize this, but the 2020 work from home switch coincided with a major productivity boom, and the late 2021 and 2022 back to office reversal coincided with a noticeable productivity drop. It's right there in the statistics. Narrative violation. Productivity growth is now back to pre-2020 levels. So for a lot of jobs in the American economy, working from home was actually a benefit. I'm not a huge fan. I felt like maybe I was more productive, but I certainly didn't enjoy it. And so we've been having a good time building in person.
It's interesting. You'd have to dive in. Okay,
depends on the type of work.
Well, yeah, and you can also be more productive, but on the wrong strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I found it working from home during that era,
Yep.
and having a remote team. I found it very difficult to like change strategy
Yep.
quickly,
Easy
even
to
on
lock
small
in,
things.
but
Easy
yes.
to lock in,
Yes.
but not you were
hard to zoom out.
I felt less, adaptable, right? You'd sometimes waste 3 weeks working on something where maybe if you were in the same room, you would have like not made a different decision.
Yeah. So Noam Brown over at OpenAI says,
Fires
I
back.
don't, get the gunshots ready. I don't recall a lot of people in 2023 saying that within a few years, worker productivity would 10x due to LLMs. I do recall a lot of people in 2023 saying LLMs can't reason, though. Shots fired on the timeline. That is a fantastic.
Francois says back in 2023, AGI was 1 to 2 years away in the form of GPT-5, no less. Productivity was about to increase 10 to 100x, and developers were about to go extinct. People who questioned the narrative were a tiny minority. We were proven right.
He was the John Brown standing up. I believe that AI will not 10x productivity. Tyler, do you have any takes on this?
Yeah.
Will,
so I
will AI be able to get Tyler a shirt?
Yeah,
An AI agent might, but he might be able to do it faster himself. Who knows?
Still unclear on that. But I think the idea that people don't know, like aren't using them efficiently yet, makes sense, right? Because so if you look at that Meteor study, it was about how like open source developers are actually slower when they use AI tools. But like if you actually read it, it was open source developers who it was their first time ever using AI tools.
Oh, interesting.
So it's like obviously like
small
there's like
sample
some
size,
learning curve to using like Claude Code or whatever.
Yep,
Like you're not going to instantly become way better.
Yep.
So I think it's kind of a similar thing there.
Yeah, I mean, we heard that
over time.
There's an interesting phenomenon where some companies are getting more value out of having designers go from 0x engineers to 1x engineers, and they're not seeing as much of like the 10x engineer becomes a 100x engineer because the problems are still like intractable in some ways. Noam Brown says, I was on the AI job market in 2023. I spoke with a lot of researchers, a lot of frontier labs. Some thought scaling pre-training was sufficient. Some thought additional paradigms were needed. But regardless, almost none of them thought AGI was 1 to 2 years away. Yeah, that was something that was maybe more parroted in the on the podcast circuit and from those who were raising the mega rounds who needed to kind of justify underwriting AGI at 1,000x revenue multiple. It's interesting. I don't know. It is interesting that to look at the economic statistics, to keep going back to what's happening in the labor market, what's happening with unemployment. Like it would be weird to have a unemployment tick up without productivity tick up, because that would just mean lower GDP, and that seems like an impossible scenario. I'm somewhat receptive to the idea that that maybe AI is substitutive for a different type of work, and maybe it's not driving major productivity booms just yet. But I have trouble believing both narratives, that AI is driving massive unemployment and also it's not driving increased productivity, because companies would just be doing less then, and we're seeing earnings growth, we're seeing growth in the economy, we're seeing high GDP growth. So one of those has to be right. They can't both be.
Well, breaking news: President Trump was on Newsmax. Not our internal software that we use to create the show, but the TV show.
Yep.
President Trump tells Todd Starnes he's going out on patrol tonight with D.C. law enforcement and the military.
They're really taking D.C. seriously, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're in D.C., keep an eye out. Nate Eliason says, gonna have to block Elon Musk soon for all the AI goon spam. Feels like I can't open X in public. I think a lot of people are feeling that way.
Skill issue. I've still fine-tuned my algorithm so much towards tech and AI content that I don't see any of the Elon.
You don't?
I don't see it.
I get it because people that I follow reply to him and tell him to stop.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I follow Elon, but I still don't see it. I see High Yield Harry saying Tom Brady was so ready back in the day to be a finance bro, and they share Thomas E. Brady Jr.'s resume. He was at University of Michigan. Then he went to Merrill Lynch, the University of Michigan golf course.
Summer intern.
Polo Fields Golf and Country Club. He was so
a sales rep.
High Yield Harry says this guy could have had a successful career working at Merrill Lynch instead of pursuing football. Now no one on Wall Street will remember his name. funny.
Andrew Reed. Juwan had said, "What the heck is a Series K?"
That was Databricks.
During Databricks.
The gong.
Andrew
They were the
Reed says,
gong of the day.
I know quite a few people in SF with a Series K problem.
Yes. Stay away from the Series K. Enjoy the Series C, the caffeine, the yerba mate, the
Next time you have an urge to
podcast
do
in a can.
hard drugs,
Yeah,
why not try a fridge cigarette?
Yes.
Rune says the demand for anti-AI takes is enormous and will take anything and run with it. Meta consolidating and doubling down on MSL is being misrepresented as bearish on AI, for example. Something to keep in mind. Yeah, they conducted a reorg because they added a bunch of people to the team.
Yeah, it makes sense. This
and
is
had a few weeks together and kind of updated, certainly. And it got positioned as like layoffs almost, kind of what I was reading into.
Yeah, it was very odd. For obvious reasons, it's not that popular when we're like, this technology will bring about a turning of the age and reshape the thought world of man, and even a miraculous year in AI progress can be spun into a disappointment. Careful observers will note that revenue growth of the consumer AI industry has outstripped the most bullish expectations. We maxed out the meta-calculus predictions, and nobody is mea culping on this. You're not going to get an apology from Maroon. No way. He's absolutely printing in consumer AI adoption. People love it. Anyway, what else is going on? Elon Musk, we were talking about the potential spam. He is unpacking his ideas around the birth rate. People saw this as incongruent. How can you possibly be worried about the birth rate when you are creating romantic companions that by definition cannot reproduce with their companions?
Yes.
Elon Musk says
Theo Von was kind of getting into this with his interview with
a little bit with Sam. Yeah, it was a very funny interaction where Theo Von asks Sam Altman, what do you think about test tube babies, the idea of having children outside of the womb
that you could visit on the weekends? He specifically
said. Yes. And so Sam is kind of like that. It sounds maybe like that's futuristic and that might happen, and there are some scientific reasons, but it feels unnatural to me. I'm not that into it, says Sam. And Theo just goes, oh, like I thought you'd be into that. And it's like very revealing that Theo clearly sees Sam as like this like techno
dystopian.
Yeah, or just like this crazy tech futurist guy, like from the future. And so they kind of like work through it on the conversation, but it's a very funny clip because they're both like playing the game of like, who are we? Like what how do we perceive each other?
But Elon says AI is obviously gonna one-shot the human limbic system. That said, I predict counterintuitively that it will increase the birth rate. Mark my words. Also, we're gonna program it that way.
But what I find interesting is what Nikita Beer says here. He says Grok Companions, Duolingo for dating. So the idea that you could go to a Grok Companion, learn amazing pickup lines like, are you a NVIDIA GB200? Because I'm getting hot hanging out next to you. and then take that pickup line on the road and meet someone real. The more interesting thing I think is if two people are talking to companions and they're a perfect match, just introduce themselves. Introduce them to each other and say, hey, we are foregoing the future revenue here, and we are introducing you in IRL. But we'll see. The proof is in the pudding. He's got to put his AI where his mouth is and actually deliver a product that increases.
Hopefully he doesn't put his AI where his mouth is.
Who knows?
In a literal sense.
Who knows?
China is pushing for a total ban on the use of foreign chips for inference.
They're not a fan of NVIDIA.
In the Financial Times, some Beijing policymakers are pushing to ban foreign chips altogether for inference, which accounts for most AI demand, according to a person recently summoned for a meeting with them. That is unlikely to happen soon due to a shortage of domestic chip supplies, which Beijing hopes.
Who do you think is going to sort it out? Who
the juggler?
The juggler, Jensen the juggler. He's able to juggle the interests of America, the interests of China, the interests of Taiwan, the interests of NVIDIA. Jensen the juggler will get it done. Hopefully he doesn't drop one. But we will talk to Aaron Ginn if there is a dropping of a juggle ball from Jensen the juggler.
Google declares the green versus blue bubbles debate silly and tired. And Signal says precisely what a green bubble would say. I will say my little brother uses an Android. It's gotten quite a lot better to text him. We can now effectively use FaceTime through this weird kind of Hangout integration thing. Certainly better, but it's definitely still a real thing.
You got something, Tyler?
Yeah, this is different though.
No, hit me.
Out of the White House, new executive order, they're establishing a national design studio.
Okay.
So Giga bullish for Figma, obviously.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Universal Basic Figma.
But yeah, like a new design language. Announcing America by Design.
Okay.
National initiative to improve experience for Americans.
Like UI, UX, or?
Yeah, new life into the designs of sites where people interface with their government.
I'm getting known in the chat.
Saying,
Stop.
The chat is saying you look like Greg from Succession.
That's the first time I've ever gotten that. That's weird. Never gotten that before. Anyway, moving on. You've never said that. I've gotten that a ton, of course. I actually lived in the same building as him.
Okay, what if Greg from Succession was a Sigma? That's kind of the question that.
Well, the actor who plays Greg from Succession is in fact a Sigma, sort of lone wolf. He had his own apartment.
Dar says, "Who has a house like this in the Bay? I would like to spend some time together, preferably in your house."
That is a cool design, like the soft wood tones, the brown. It feels very comfortable.
Conversation.
It actually doesn't feel that comfortable. Like, look at that couch. That couch does not particularly look like loungeable. I'm much more. I'm a fan. My ideal living situation is a modern glass box on the outside, but then log cabin on the inside. I want like the moose head on the wall of the glass, then I want overstuffed leather chairs. Brutalist outside. Exactly.
Fortress.
Exactly. The fortress on the outside,
Fortress
but then
finance.
super cozy maxing, like thick rugs, warm hearths. These are the things that I want inside. I always hate going inside those glass box houses and being like, okay, like everything's uncomfortable. There's so many corners.
Look at all these hard corners.
Yeah, I can just bang into everything.
Look at this glass point.
Yeah, I want like a wooden coffee table that's just so rounded, like there's just no sharp edges whatsoever. That's my ideal thing. But this is a little minimal. But
Gabriel says, "What does he know?" He's quoting our post.
We broke the story really after Ben Thompson emailed his newsletter subscribers on Stratechery. We broke the news that after 22 years in Taiwan, I think.
Where did he say he's moving again?
I think he's. I don't know if he said, but he spends time in the Midwest. So I think Wisconsin, I think Michigan, that general area. Did you see Dylan Briscato's reply to our breaking news that Ben Thompson has officially relocated to the United States? Welcome home, brother. He did the NBA commissioner meme and said, "Time to learn English, buddy." Of course, Ben Thompson does know English, but a lot of people were speculating this is about Taiwan tensions. I don't think it is, and Ben Thompson said that exactly in his email. He said, yes, Taiwan is complicated, but that's not why I'm doing this. It's that my kids are at an age where we want them to go to school in the United States, and we've been contemplating this for a long time, and we're very happy. And he already spends summer in the United States and spends time, so going back and forth. So, but here it was not like the last helicopter out of Saigon.
One thing is
situation.
for sure, if there is ever conflict in Taiwan, Gabe will repost his this.
Yes,
and
definitely.
Victory lap.
Definitely.
Jira Tickets just said, my boss just told me, quote unquote, don't make mistakes like I'm a clanker.
Oh, it's brutal. Yeah.
Honestly,
Clanker is still getting more juice. I'm still laughing when I hear it. It has not completely died.
It's actually gotten better.
I think it's gotten better.
It's gotten better.
It's building some lore. I'm having fun with it. Plus, it is turning into a bit of a culture war issue. Mike Solano was talking about this, where there were a couple posts that went out that were saying like, you should not use this. It's a slur. It's bad. Like, don't use the word clanker. And I like that we're already being language police on it. So that gives it a little extra juice. Like it makes it more fun to use.
Yeah.
Anyway, should we go to this post from Bone GPT?
Back on the show.
Back on the show. Thank you for posting our reaction to your post a few days ago. Bone says Apple has no chance of catching up to Google with AI features that will become increasingly useful. OpenAI thinks they can do hardware from scratch because they bought Johnny Ive, which is a level of delusion that's hard to describe. Shots fired. Meta is playing catch up desperately, distorting the whole market with their hires so they can ship stepmom. Google won. Shots fired. I don't know.
This is what I was kind of getting at earlier. They look really great during the AI wars right now.
I think it's like if this is mobile, if this is cloud, like AWS was the first mover in cloud, Azure, GCP, these are great businesses. Did Apple kind of win mobile and get the vast majority of device revenues? Yes. Was it still extremely valuable for Google to develop Android? Did every company eventually need to have a mobile strategy and a mobile app and a mobile design? Like, yes. And so it's a little dramatized, but that's why we love your posts, Bone. Keep things spicy on the timeline. Keep us hitting that soundboard. Anyway, timeline in turmoil again. Malo Burgon from the Machine Intelligence Research Institute, MIRI, is getting in a fight with Rune on the timeline. Rune says MIRI is an incredible name, maybe the best in AI. It's a shame they don't research machine intelligence. And Malo fires back, OpenAI is a pretty good name. It's a shame they don't ... And he said, yes, I know they published a couple open models recently, and he has to kind of walk it back because he got hit with a community note. But I think Rune also got hit with a community note. Maybe MIRI does research machine intelligence.
No, I think Rune is getting community note.
Yeah, because I think Intelligence Research Institute does in fact research machine intelligence. Maybe they just don't ship models or products. Maybe they ship other types of research. Anyway.
Anyways, OpenAI's CFO Sarah Fryer, who we've had on the show,
yes,
absolute dog,
one of the best
was
to
on
ever
Bloomberg TV doing an interview.
Yeah. She's a real CFO's CFO, if I say so myself.
Totally.
Yeah,
totally.
Anyway,
if you know, you know.
Yes.
But she was asked about selling infra services in the future. She said, "I do think about it as a business."
This is why Ben Thompson moved back to America. He's like, I got to end this right now. Ben Thompson famously does not like the fact that OpenAI has an API. He thinks that they should focus entirely, at least for now, on saving every GPU cycle for the consumer product that is absolutely on fire. They should embrace being the accidental consumer company, and they should go as deep as possible before.
Where do they have an incredible edge?
Yes.
It's in consumer.
Yes.
Where do they not have an incredible edge? In the just vending out intelligence.
I mean, they're doing great, and it is a good business. And so from a CFO's perspective and from Sam Altman's perspective, it certainly makes sense. Like, why not also be in that game? It is value creative. It is profit generating. And yet Ben Thompson thinks now's the time to focus. Focus. At the same time, I kind of take the other side of this a little bit and say, OpenAI is in a fortunate situation. They have a lot of data, a ton of customers. They're going to have a very great consumer business that will probably throw off a ton of cash, especially once they start monetizing it more heavily. And what that means is they might be the next Google in the best sense possible. And what I mean by that is that they might be able to go and do 20% projects. They might be able to go spend a couple $1 billion trying to build a new device. And maybe it doesn't work, but when you add up all the Google 20% time projects and Google's side projects, it's easy to laugh at all the things that they've shut down, like 10 different chat bots or chat
businesses
products
that have $100 million of revenue.
Yeah, they launched Wave and they've launched Google Glass and they've missed on so many things. But when they hit, it's great. You know, they hit on Gmail, they hit on Docs, they hit on Cloud, they hit on Waymo. And so I love that you get sort of this like humanity or America gets like somewhat of a subsidized R&D org at Google, and it all pencils out and it all makes sense. And so maybe the infrastructure services group is not that at OpenAI, but I'm excited for these other like less focused efforts from OpenAI, and I think we'll see some cool stuff. Anyway,
this is a good post from Stever. If we can pull it up,
read it out.
You guys say, "You're finally awake. That fall looked real bad. SWE, LLMs, B2B SaaS. What are you talking about? You're an electrical engineer. Let's go build some chips."
I love it.
So good. This post really going to be relatable for a lot of you.
Yes.
9-figure hell is real. Sure, you don't have to work and have some assets, but you can't really afford a decent yacht, let alone a private army or nuclear submarine.
It's real. It's real. Get back in the wage cage.
Yeah, get back in the cage, buddies. Get ready to send some emails, buddy.
Captain Nemo. They're doing an OpenAI movie. and they're basing it on a book. I think there might be 2 competing scripts, but they are finalizing the cast. I believe Andrew Garfield, who is also in The Social Network, it will be playing Sam. But Will Brown, friend of the show, has a recast. He has. Can you name these actors?
Jason
Okay,
Statham.
you got Jason Statham, and who will he be playing?
He'll be playing 2? Is that
the joke here is that he's playing both Greg and Ilya. When I saw Jason Statham as Ilya, I was laughing out loud. I was very. I
and then I don't know the guy on the left. He was in a bunch of stuff.
What stuff? What have you seen?
I don't even know his name. I've seen him a bunch though. Seen him around.
Yeah. He's in Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler.
Toby, wait, actually,
whoa.
Is it Tobey Maguire? I don't know. I'm all over the place.
Tyler, who's this actor?
Armas.
Oh yeah, Ana de Armas.
Ana de Armas, but who's the guy in the top left?
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Jake Gyllenhaal. That's right. Not Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire.
That's a famous guy. Everybody knows that guy.
I got so tied up in.
Anyway, so the real cast of the movie Artificial is going to be Andrew Garfield, Monica Barbaro as Mir Murati, and then a guy named Ike Barinholtz is rumored to be Elon.
Yeah. Who's playing Dylan Patel?
Who's playing Rune?
Who's playing Rune?
Rune is the real question.
Yeah, Rune is the real question.
Who should play Rune?
Who should play Rune? Wait, so I wonder if Mark Zuckerberg is going to make an appearance in the film and they're going to have to cast him again. Should they have the guy who played him in The Social Network reprise the role?
No, but he hates Zuck now.
Wait, who?
Jesse Eisenberg.
Jesse Eisenberg
he has beef with
what?
tech in general.
Why?
I don't know.
Oh, weird. Okay.
But, yeah.
Why? Very odd. Anyway, should be fun. Hopefully we can get a cameo. We can sneak in. If you know someone, introduce us. This is
Chat, thank you for helping us out there.
Yeah,
John
Jelly
Hill from Gold Rock. Jay, thanks, guys.
It's good.
Kylie says, I can't believe this is real. I
can't believe this is real. I saw this and I was like, this is not real.
President Trump dialed into Fox and Friends on Tuesday morning, we're a couple days late, and revealed his newest and truest motivation for brokering an end to the war in Ukraine. He's worried he might not get into heaven after he dies. I want to try and get to heaven, if possible, he explained. I'm here and I'm not doing well. I'm really at the bottom of the totem pole, but if I can get to heaven, this will be one of the reasons. So
I like
whatever
this.
Whatever your motivation
is for
solid.
Peace, do it. Do it.
It is solid. So there was a debate breaking out.
Yes, break this debate down.
Craig Weiss says having kids before 30 is how you stay generationally poor.
a real Take Smith's take there.
Yeah, so surely
worded
not
perfectly
to
put the timeline in turmoil.
The dude Richie, the rich, highlighted Warren Buffett. Net worth $154 billion.
He had a kid at 22.
Child at 22. Wow. Michael Dell 23.
Let's go.
Bernard Arnault 26. Some absolute dogs.
Jordy Hayes.
Also
in the club.
26.
I just missed it by a year or two. I think David Senra might
I
be
will
in the club
say.
too.
I will say.
You can come on whenever.
Kids are much more. When I started making money, I got into cars.
Yep.
And when I started having kids, I realized that they are a much more. I used to think there was kind of a meme growing up.
Yeah, they're pretty
like
close to cars in terms of joy.
People would say like the average American kid by the time they are 18 is like $250,000.
Yep.
But it feels like children feel like the carrying cost of like 10 supercars at times.
That's true.
Between school.
Well, we have our first in-person guest of the show. We got David Senra.
Finally.
The TBPN Ultradome live.
See you.
How you doing, man? Good to see you, man.
Finally in the Ultradome.
Finally in person.
How was the drive?
5 times.
It's a testament to how much I love you that you got me out of Malibu.
Yeah.
It was an hour and a half.
Yeah, it's rough.
I know. I do it. Speeder and I do it every day.
No, but it takes you an hour and a half. You go at like 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
5:30 in the morning.
Yeah,
this is a different story.
Anyway,
I love this place though. You guys have an army back here.
We do have an army.
You have the crew, the interns. Then I met the friends of the interns.
Oh yeah, we got everybody. Oh yeah, we have intern friends.
Lads.
In the studio.
What is this?
That's a chat. So if they
Steve
start
Jobs is
saying how
23
handsome you look, you'll see it.
People are talking about the chat is still talking about this debate over whether you can become generationally wealthy while having a child before age 30. What do you think?
Obviously.
Yeah, and they gave Michael Dell, Warren Buffett,
Michael
Steve
Dell,
Jobs.
Shout out to Michael Dell. Dell Technologies on the.
Don't say too much because that'll dox us.
No, actually, that might be an interesting place to start. I actually flew to Austin. I spent 5 hours with Michael Dell.
Wow.
Like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, what was that like? What'd you learn from him?
You know what?
What surprised you? Because you've already done a full episode on him. You've dug in. You've probably spent days on his story. You know most of the facts.
It's not only that. Like I listened to, so I highly recommend every entrepreneur listen to his audiobook because he actually narrates it. And so I listened to it Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I listened to it 3 times. I listened to it 3 times and then read the book and then made the episode.
Wow.
There was like halfway through our conversation, I said something like, I'm having a hard time reconciling like this paradox in my mind between like your immense accomplishments and just like how normal you are.
Yeah.
And obviously he's a superlative and extreme person,
Yeah.
but he's unbelievably measured and controlled and kind and generous. It's just like one of my favorite people I've ever met.
We got to get him on the Theo Vaughn podcast and see how he does there. I mean, everyone in tech has been making the rounds, and there's been multiple times when tech people have gone on Theo, and they've had like kind of awkward starts. Like it took Zuck a minute to warm up. There was like the caffeine thing. Oh, I don't.
I think this is the mistake that people in tech make, and you're seeing it with a bunch of other podcasts. They should definitely come here before anywhere else. This is not a joke. It's like they see a number on a screen and they don't think about what that number represents and who that person is. And like you can just read some of the comments on some of these like mainstream podcasts. It's like this guy's 6 years old. He's in his fucking underwear in Missouri. He's got like unemployed. Like he's not the person. You're just optimizing for the number when you should optimize for the quality of the people in the audience.
Yeah, that's for sure.
It's insane to me.
Well, you know who's optimized for the quality of the audience? Colossus magazine. There's a new
I love how you printed it out while we wait for the print edition.
I don't have the print edition yet, but you can still go subscribe. Patrick O'Shaughnessy has printed a warehouse full this time. Have you had a chance to read through the Joe Lamont profile?
Yeah, I got an early. Patrick's, obviously like my brother. I talk to him like every day.
Yep.
There's actually an interesting something we can talk about that I called him about yesterday. I actually think moving forward, and I told him this yesterday and I told him again today, I was like, if you give me more than a day to read it, especially in these long form profiles, I should do that is good enough if you read the whole thing. It takes like an hour and a half to listen to. So I read it.
I was thinking about printing the whole thing and I was like, there's no way I can read this before the show. So it's like 100 pages.
I read it and then I threw it into 11 reader and I listened to it on the way out.
Oh, that's good.
And so it's like an hour and a half if you listen at 1x.
Okay.
But I think that source material is so good.
Yeah.
I could definitely do an episode of Founders, and it's like, just tell me in advance, give me like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then we can drop it the same day that you publish it. But what I call
one of my favorite little stories from that is how Joe had sort of a non-traditional entrance into startups and business. Yeah. He was a Stanford undergrad. So no, more traditional in that sense. But at the time that he was building, what was the software called? Sales Builder or something like that. The initial.
Then the names for his.
They're so great. Enterprise
amazing.
Software.
It's like building a microphone. Like it's called Microphone.
And I mean, you look at some of the companies here, like NewView, GCE, Still Secure, Ignite, Aria, Object Store, Accept, ProLogic, Ravenflow. It's just
so there's two things that stood out from the story. One is that there wasn't a meme yet of VCs being like, I'm going to back the Stanford dropout. They wanted to back executives that had experience and crazy access to talent. And there were some early kind of garage success stories, so he was kind of following that. But the other thing is bigger companies, Fortune 500 companies, refuse to buy from startups.
But then his pricing. Did you see what he did with his pricing?
Yeah.
Like it's $100,000, and they're like, no, we don't buy from startups. They come back, okay, we need it. No one else can do this. It's $300,000. And it goes from like, now it's $1 million. Now it's $7.5 million. Now it's $25 million.
And everybody kept saying yes because the best. But the other thing is the why now for the business.
Yeah.
The initial why now and why it worked, not like the business catalyst, was that they started sending, this was at a time where they would just send you a letter and said, you're pre-approved for this credit card. You just have to fill this out.
He did credit card roulette.
Yeah. So he signed up, he racked up $500,000 of credit card debt and was finally, before he got his first customer, still no VC would fund him at all. he was basically like evaluating like bankruptcy. Like he had played it out in his head, like it's going to be like 7 years. It's going to be really annoying, but it doesn't matter if you have. His calculus was like you know how much debt you have going into bankruptcy. Actually, like it doesn't going from 100,000 to 500K. It's not that much worse to go through bankruptcy.
You might as well do it the real way.
So he just went full send. Absolutely, and then basically made it all back from like his basically first couple customers.
So we have a mutual friend that we can't name that has been close, and is basically Joe's been like a mentor of his for a long time, and actually like a funder of a lot of projects that he does behind the scenes. So I've heard a lot about this guy. And what I like about people is just like the people that chart their own path and intentionally go in the opposite direction. So everybody heard Buffett and Munger, and they're like, you should buy phenomenal businesses, even if you have to pay more. And so then everybody in the VMS like roll-ups, they're like, I'm going to buy the great businesses. And what he realized, and I heard this story like probably 2 years ago, it's like, well, okay, so I have a lot more competition for everyone wants the great ones. What about these shitty ones over here? And he turned it into a math problem. He's like, okay, this is your ARR. This is your rate of attrition. Like, I know exactly how much I'm going to get out of this in the next 6 years. They talk about it in the, they use different words that they talk about in the article. He's like, okay, so I can easily buy this thing for 2 because I'm going to pull out, 15 over the next 5 years. He just does it over and over and over again. And then I heard, I don't know if it was if they said it, but like, he bought out his shareholders. He owned 100% of the company. And what I heard is like, he's been taking billions a year in dividends. His fucking paycheck at the end of the year is like, how much money did you make the year? I don't know, like $1.5 billion.
That's crazy.
And no one knew who he was.
He's built a machine. A machine behind the scenes.
The other thing that's wild is going dark for 25 years and basically until this.
Well, this is like one of my fetishes. Is like these very silent family-owned businesses where they own 100% of them. You'll never hear about them. I've been lucky enough to have dinner with some of these people, and they're just
you've talked to people that have written books about their family business, and haven't released them, and you're like, please let me, and they're just like, no.
Okay, so I'll just tell the story. So there's this guy. He's 76 years old. Okay, this is like one of my favorite dinners I've ever had, and I do really careful here. So he started working in the family business when he was 6. Okay, he's the second generation of this family dynasty. They own the original source of their wealth was one of the largest privately held shipping companies in the world. And when I mean privately held, owned by his dad and now owned by him and his brother. Like it's just like there is no shareholders, no board of directors. It's just the family. I've now become close with the third generation, and I get insight on how they run the family is a business and the business is a family, and the way they go about things is just really, really intelligent. And so we had this phenomenal dinner. You look up his reported net worth, and it's still in the tens of billions, and it's like underreported by a factor of like 4. Because then he tells you about like, oh yeah, I put money into this, and I never sold, and it's worth this. There's just crazy stories, and he's also like super charismatic, one of the best raconteurs I've ever like been around, and just super. And he's still on it 24/7, like works all the time. And so there's 2 things that were funny. This has happened a few times where families will commission real writers, right? They commission an actual biography. And I have a copy of a separate family. It looks like the book. It looks like a book you'd buy in a bookstore. The only difference is there's no ISBN number on the back. So like some of the books I have, no one else in the world has these books besides like the family and the author and everything.
OpenAI would give you a lot of money for that.
So there's two funny things that he told me. One, that they commissioned one for his father and then one for him. And I was like, dude, give me those books. Like, I would do such a good job on them. And he, without hesitation, he's like, absolutely not. Like, that's out of the question. I go, why not? And he said something like, I have no desire to educate my competitors. And just real fast. And then he...
Leave it to me in the will.
No, and then I think... So there's another founder.
The next generation.
There's another founder who's 78, and I spent 4 days with the CEO, and the top 40 executives. They were going through they wanted advice on like how to transition from a founder-led company. She's one of my favorite founders I've ever come across in my life, and like to the next generation. And so after talking to all the executives, spending time with them, they're like, hey, so what do you think? And after 4 days, I go, when she's dead, you're fucked. It's just like, there's not like, you're not replacing her. She's a singular individual. You should like either sell the company or go do something else. Cause like, there's no transition here. It's like, what do you do when Michael Jordan retires? So like, I don't know, start rebuilding. But he said something funny because they're obviously in shipping. They now have real estate and they have finance and everything else. And he's got also one of the biggest boats in the world. And he had mentioned he mentioned earlier though. So earlier in the conversation, he's like, when you read a lot of these biographies, he had read all the same biographies I'd read, like Daniel Ludwig, Aristotle Onassis, all these like shipping guys. He knew all of them. They would also run their company headquarters from their private like giant boats, right? Giant yachts. Yeah. And so he had mentioned earlier, he's like, I spend part of the year, I live part of the year on. He said boat. He said ship. So I was like, so like what month?
There's a difference.
He's going to tell us. I go, so what when are you going to go back on your boat? Like, how long are you going to be on your boat for? He goes, what are you talking about? I go, you said like earlier you live on your boat. He goes, I don't have a boat. I'm like, is this some kind of joke? He goes, I have a ship. I go, what's the difference between a boat and a ship? He goes, you can put a boat on a ship. You can't put a ship on a boat. So my favorite conversations are these kind of people, and I'm obsessed with like older entrepreneurs because they're just so much smarter than like a 25-year-old fucking startup founder. It's like they're not even. It's like it might as well be an alien. Yeah, it's just like these people are they have so much more experience. They have so much more knowledge. Yeah. Like I just can talk to them for hours and hours and hours.
Makes sense. Have you dug into the Trilogy software mafia? Are you familiar with this?
No.
So this was some secondary research I did out of Trilogy. This is, of course, the subject of that Colossus profile on Joe Lamont. In the 90s, Trilogy was on such a tear. They were recruiting out of MIT, Harvard, and a bunch of folks went through Trilogy and then went on to do cool things. Ellie Seidman, the CEO of Tinder, was a Trilogy alum. Cyrus and Nick Ganju, founders of ZocDoc. Henry Ward, the CEO and founder of Carta.
Oh, crazy.
John Lilly, former CEO of Mozilla, and now he's an investor at Greylock. And Andy Palmer, the CEO of Tammer, former CEO of Vertica, which was acquired, major angel investor, invested in Carta, in part due to his connection. There are 87 Trilogy Mafia companies now on Crunchbase. So it's just like this very interesting, we've heard that Joe keeps his team very tight, but clearly selects for extremely entrepreneurial people. They don't often get poached to other firms that are doing the same thing. If you leave, you're probably going to start a company.
I wouldn't want to make money the way he did, but put that aside. What I do admire, I'm the most pro-American person. Obviously the son of Cuban immigrants. I grew up, meeting people. Yeah. Literally came to this country, fled communism on a raft.
Yeah.
So I don't like outsourcing anything. I've had tons of people try to advertise on the podcast. They're like, I have this outsourcing thing. I was like, I want to find a way to pay people more money, not less. I want to work with the best people in the world, and those people don't work for $8 an hour.
Yep.
But I do the thing I respect about Joe is he doesn't give a shit what other people think, and he's willing to have his own thinking. And then even if everybody's going in one direction, I was listening to your Mischief on the way over here.
Gabe.
He had this great line where he's like, if everybody's running fast at something, they're probably running off a cliff. I was like, oh, that's a bar.
Yep.
That's a good bar. And so I like that Joe's like, hey, you guys are all doing this, so that means by default there's an opportunity. I called Patrick yesterday. I was like, it's kind of funny, there's not any other people more obsessed with podcasts than me, you, Patrick. We talk about this stuff all the time. And I was like, everybody, even now, is still starting podcasts. And Patrick, he has the highest value investing audience in the world. And what I love about what he's doing is he's like, oh, yeah, you guys are all going to go to the podcast. I'm going to write, what was that, 15,000 word in-depth profiles, but they're so much better. No. Like the Neil Mehta one.
Yep. Really good.
Who's the Paradigm guy I read?
Matt Wong.
Matt
Wong.
This one.
Yep.
Really they're going to keep doing it, and he'll tell you in the group chat some of the ones they're working on now. They're crushing. Cool. I just love this.
It's a very special product, and I went through when we were doing the show and we didn't have guests or anything, and we needed a lot of material. I went through and looked at old New Yorker deep dives profiles.
So good.
They're so good. Old Bloomberg and old Forbes pieces, and they're just not doing it at that level anymore. There are some profiles, but the one profile that was written in a prestigious magazine about Zuck is all about did he have the right team in place? It's like a diversity, referendum on diversity and stuff, Brotopia type take, which is just not really the story. That's a very minor pice of the Zuck story, in my opinion.
I'm glad you said the New Yorker part, because every single time I do a deep research report on every single person I'm working on, just to get an overview, and it's always I want it written like a New Yorker piece. One of my favorite.
Fantastic writers.
Yeah, Jackson Dahl.
We read one on Mary Meeker.
Yeah, the Mary Meeker.
I read that too.
Fantastic.
I read that too. So Jackson Dahl, you guys should have him on there. He's doing. Because
for the record, Jack,
we have invited him.
He needs to call in today. I don't know what he's doing.
Nick, send him an invite.
So
have him join right now.
The reason, no, I don't share it like sharing the mics. Okay, you have to come after I'm done.
Just send the invitation. Send the invitation for tomorrow.
But But the reason I say that is because he put me on to he's like, hey, you have this thought that I haven't heard anywhere else, because something that I've talked about is just like, I actually think like introspection is one of the worst things like an entrepreneur can have. And I say some of the greatest entrepreneurs in history had low to no introspection. Like Sam Walton didn't wake up every day wondering like what his purpose of life was.
Rehashing the past. Oh, I wish I did this.
Nothing.
This is like being a golden retriever. You have to maniacally be going after the tennis ball, not thinking about the nature.
Never thinking about the last tennis ball.
No, always the current tennis ball.
Excellent. So Jackson's like, hey, I heard you say that. Have you heard of this guy named Larry Gagosian? Which I didn't know who that was. And so he sent me this great New Yorker piece. The piece was so good, I made an episode on it. I think it's one of the best episodes I've ever done. It's one of my favorite, like, the guy's a little obviously crazy. Every single person I profile on Founders is crazy.
The best.
But it's better than a book. That New Yorker piece was better than if I read 600 pages on Gagosian. But I think there's like a clear, again, us three talk about like what's the white space all the time. It's like what Patrick and his team are doing. It's like there's a clear white space there. People write profiles, but the profiles suck. There's no craft in them.
The New Yorker
and
is
people
insane
care about
because
the person writing the profile a lot.
Well, did you guys ever cover? You know how Patrick found Jeremy Stern?
No.
So I think you covered that. I'm pretty sure you read this to me. I love when John reads things to me. I think it's the best profile ever written about Palmer Luckey.
Sure.
I forgot the title. It had like a very.
I know
the one I'm talking about.
Yep,
like spread.
Yep.
Jeremy wrote that.
Oh,
so
no,
Patrick,
that makes sense.
American Vulcan. Is that it?
Make sure it's by Jeremy Stern. Okay, so
so
what did Patrick do? Patrick's like, this is great. Come do this for me. And then he did something, and then Patrick did something smart. Choked him with gold. He's just like, name your fucking price. So this is really important. No, this is a really important thing. So there's a line I sent to for startup founder or for any founders trying to recruit people, and there's this thing I found in one of the books on Ogilvy where he was looking up letters that the Medici family would write to the artists that they wanted to sponsor, and there was this one sculptor they wanted to essentially become a patron of, and then move to Florence. And he's like, said something like, "Come to Florence," but the way he ended the letter was one of the most gangster things I've ever heard. He's like, "Come, I will choke you with gold."
That's great. great.
That's a bar.
That's exactly what Patrick did. It's just like, name your price. The guy that does my clips, I just like,
same thing.
Name your price. I'm not negotiating with you at all. What do you want? That's the number. Fucking send me an invoice. Paid today on my ramp card.
Always. We were covering a bit on Oracle's latest moves.
Cash flow negative.
Give us the 5-minute founders of on Larry Ellison.
So I'm actually working on a Larry Ellison episode. So I did 3 episodes on him. It's like 124, 126, and 127, but that was probably like 6 years ago. And I reread The Billionaire and the Mechanic just now. I was like, fuck, I don't think it's good enough to do another episode on. I need like a different angle here. So there's a guy in my audience who I knew was like completely obsessed with Larry Ellison, and we've been DMing for years. He had transcripts for every single interview Larry Ellison has ever done. So it's taken me a while, as you can imagine, but that's the source material.
That's great.
Highly likely it'll be out in 3 episodes from now. I'm doing Elon right now, which is fucking killing me. That's why I look like shit and I'm very tired. This outline is destroying me.
Don't go on X right now, by the way. Why? It's going to make you rethink doing the episode.
Why?
He's in hot water. He's
basically
he's pushing AI companions, which people are not a fan of.
Oh, is this like the
scantily clad companions?
Okay, so here I'll tell you what I'm doing, and this is why it's really important, because people. The very first episode of Founders, September 2016, was Ashley Vance's biography of Elon Musk. I was obviously an Elon fanboy. I was looking at Teslas before they even had the Model S. Everybody that's a fan of his obviously goes through like these cycles of like you have to ride the fucking Elon roller coaster.
Well, you can say on the podcast, I made this episode before I went crazy.
No, but the problem is, and so like there's actually, I think the best biography of Elon written is this book called Liftoff, because it's the first 6 years of SpaceX. It's very fascinating.
There's pictures where he's like standing in the rubble, right?
Yes.
It's like iconic.
So
imagery.
what I decided to do is like, listen, man, I don't care about politics, cultural war stuff. I don't care about anything. I care about entrepreneurship, taking ideas from great people.
Actually building the business.
And just throwing it to the next generation to hopefully help people do that, right? Do that better. So no disrespect to Walter Isaacson. I've read all of his biographies. The Elon biography is like written like it's a newspaper. Now, when you take an asset, or you take a liability and you try to flip it into an asset. So I was like, okay, the problem is, no disrespect, there's no craft here. I like soul, I like craft because I read for fun. Like this is what I want to do. This is like a news update. But the good news of that is it's in chronological order. So the reason this is killing me is because the reading's been done for like 5 days. It's just been outline, nonstop. So what I did is like, I'm going to rip out every single thing about Elon. I'm not going to talk about his family, his wives, his kids, his politics, culture war. This guy's got brilliant ideas. Yeah. So this is literally just what are the most enduring principles that Elon used across 3 decades and 7 different companies. And I really think I'm crafting something that's going to be really valuable. And I think you're gonna have to be some level of like intelligent to listen to it, because I'm gonna like jump from idea to idea rapidly. And like you have to put the shit together yourself. And it's just like, hey, this guy's been repeating the same principle for decades, and it worked in Tesla, it worked in SpaceX, it worked in Neuralink. Why is this working? Might work in your work. You should fucking know this. You should have a tool where you can listen to this, hopefully listen to it today or whenever it's out, and then you listen to it a year ago, 2 years ago.
Okay, I have a take on craft.
So anyways, let me finish one thing. So when you get to the end of this, you're completely back on the Elon train. You're like, this is a singular person.
Well, I think to people's credit,
laying the ship.
A lot of the people posting these recent comments are on his team and it's this I think they're struggling with like wanting him to focus on what rockets and the things that.
But the rockets in orbit, sir, is like the take.
Yeah,
he says that himself.
Yeah.
In the book, it was really interesting because he was talking about what do I have to do that if I don't do it, it doesn't get done. And he's like, listen, somebody else, electric cars were inevitable. This is a direct quote from the book. I'm paraphrasing. He's like, electric cars were inevitable. They were going to happen with or without me. But the rockets were not. And so therefore I should focus on that.
Yeah,
but that was
I think people the people that want to go to Mars are concerned that what takes down great men. It's
ladies, liquor, and leverage.
Yeah, in this case, liquor, leverage, and goon bots.
My problem is I would gladly give up the Mars ambitions if we could get a Tesla with a V12 in it. And I feel like every moment he spends working on rockets is another moment that I don't have a 1,000 horsepower naturally aspirated, screaming, straight piped Tesla. That's my goal. Anyway, on the topic of craft. I was trying to think about, you mentioned Joe Lamont. His business has been buying companies that are not generational products. They're not the iPhone. They're not these amazing monuments to craft. They're businesses that deliver a little bit of value for a bunch of customers, and he has figured out a pattern of offshoring some of the software engineering, running the business more efficiently. He is like the private equity buyout. He's not trying to completely transform and like build a generational product. The product is not a product of craft. Like he is not a craftsman.
Yeah.
And then I was trying to think about.
I think he's trying to be now the new one. But
so on the flip side, when I was talking to Delian. Early on, Delian Asperov at Founders Fund about how did he underwrite the investment in Ramp? He was talking about software can be like art, and that the team there has like this attention to craft, and they see that's why they hire the IMO gold medalists. It's like, why do you need someone that good? It's because they see the product as like so important, even though it's in this highly competitive, like particular like corporate card space. It's something that they take really seriously. And I think that there's this, it's not that there's necessarily one pattern that's correct. It's more of like this barbell, and you can be on either side, but you need to know what camp you're in. And so when I see Joe Lamont, I see him as software as widgets. He is crafting a machine that produces software, and it produces it at the lowest possible cost, and it all kind of looks the same. And then I see on the other side, like Ramp and folks like that who take software development more as art and more as craft, and both can produce outsized returns. Both are big companies.
It's also where you apply the craft. I would say that Joe, from my read, brings craft to the organization.
The organization
process,
Trilogy,
right? He has Trilogy University.
Yes.
And I think you're going to struggle to build an iconic, enduring company if you're not bringing craft somewhere, right? Like
totally.
Ferrari's bringing craft to racing. They don't necessarily care about certain other elements.
They're not bringing craft to like the mechanical.
Right?
Okay, so
and the reliability.
You said something like other end of the spectrum.
Sure.
I think like what I'm trying to drive home with founders and where I'm like completely obsessed is like there is no right way.
Yes.
Based on who you are and what you're into.
Yes.
So I just flew from New York, and I spent I always spend a ton of time with Kareem and Eric, founders of Ramp.
Yeah.
And I specifically this last time spent 2 hours with them, and I would like to talk about some of the stuff I've learned because I spent a lot of time with them. But there's an example of this. Is like this is where people fail. Is they're like this? Steve Jobs did it this way, so I should just copy that. It's like
yes, it's inauthentic.
Yes, natural. So I was saying for a long time, this is Michael Dell again. So I was saying for a long time, you need to build a business. It's very obvious when you read biographies of people, you have to build a business that's authentic to you. Yeah. And then I read Michael Dell's autobiography, and I talked to him about this when I saw him in Austin a few weeks ago. I read Michael Dell's autobiography, and again, the guy wants to, IBM is the largest company in the world. It's the first company to reach $100 billion market cap, and this guy's like, I'm gonna compete with them with $1,000 out of my University of Texas dorm room. That's not an exaggeration. And so he then brings in this older guy. I think his name's, I forgot his name. It's in the episode. But the guy had a couple successful businesses, and he works with Michael, I think, for 4 years. And when he's 80, he's now looking back. I think he's 25 years older than Michael, something like that. And he's like, listen, he's like, 4 years of this, like, I lost all my hair, my back hurt, I couldn't sleep, I had like intestinal issues, I had to stop. And Mike, because like the competition was so intense, and we had no money, we were undercapitalized, and we were just like going 24/7. I'm dying, and Michael was full of energy because he's like, he built a business, this is his line, he built a business that was natural to him. So I was telling Michael when I saw him in Austin, I was just like, nothing we're doing with podcasting is like new. I was like, think about like, if you ever read Robert Caro's biographies of LBJ, one of my favorite stories in there is W. Leo Daniels, right? And it's this guy, Texas Hill Country, right? This is like, there's no internet. There's barely any electricity. So this guy has like 90% market share with the wives of farmers in the Texas Hill Country, right? And so he has this daily news show, right? That's on for a few hours a day.
We invented that. You're telling me that somebody was doing this before us?
Here's the funny part, and don't let me go back to Kareem and Eric. So don't let me forget that, please. So the crazy thing is, so he winds up getting like 90% market share in this area, right? So then he's like, okay, well, what should my sponsor be? Well, who's listening? What do the women in these houses need? And he comes like, everybody needs baking flour. They all need baking flour. So I'll find the best manufacturer of baking flour, and they'll be my advertiser. He sells a ton of baking flour, and he's like, wait a minute, I could just like make my own baking flour. So then he starts manufacturing his own baking flour. He makes like $50 million in like the 1940s or something. And then he goes,
Feastables.
And then he goes, what am I going to do next? Like, what can I do with this? He's like, I'm going to run for governor. Yeah. And then people are like, hey, this is Trump before Trump. This is what I'm telling you. There's an element of Trump to
Trump
this.
had vodka.
Yeah, but so then everybody tells him, nobody, you're not a professional politician, you can't possibly win. But then he starts hosting these rallies. Remember in 2015, Trump was doing this. And then like the rallies, it'd be like selling, it'd be like a monster truck rally. It'd be like 50,000 people there. Of course, that's going to translate from votes. So he wins the governorship of Texas, and he moves his radio show into the Texas governor's mansion. And so he's still broadcasting that. Then the reason he's in LBJ's biography
never stopped broadcasting
is because he runs, and then he's like, what are you going to do next? I'm going to run for Senate. He ends up stealing the election from LBJ, legitimately stole the election. But I was telling Michael about this. And, you know, in Texas, they teach Texas history before they teach American history, right? If you go to any used bookstore in Texas, my favorite thing to do, there's huge sections on, like, you have American history, it's like Texas history. And Michael texts me back the funniest thing. He goes, oh, I must admit, I missed this part of Texas history. I was too busy reading computer magazines. Wow. I want to fucking hit the table because that's exactly, he picked the business that was perfect,
authentic to him.
Natural to him.
Natural. Completely
natural. It's what he wanted to do. So the Ramp guys, like, they're like, whatever you guys, I always have to like get the way people talk on the internet translated to me from you. Yeah. So I don't know if there's a term for anti-slop, but if there's a term for anti-slop, perfect. Thank you. So if there's a very old term for this. So the way I think of this, have you guys ever heard of shokunin? This concept of shokunin?
But explain it for the listeners.
So shokunin is this idea in, essentially, it's almost like a Japanese word for craftsmanship. Yeah. And it doesn't matter if you're building, you know, a $22 billion fintech or you're sweeping the floor. The Japanese, if you're a shokunin, you take pride in the activity, you take pride in the activity itself and pride in making your work as good, even if no one else sees it. Yeah. And so what I would say about this is, spending a lot of time with Kareem and Eric, is one, from the outside, it's like they have very complementary skills. And what I would say, like, especially with Eric, one of the best sales advice, and I think it was advice for sales, but I actually think it's advice for life and dealing with people that I've ever heard, is Mary Kay. Remember Mary Kay Cosmetics? Yeah. They built this like massive empire, like going like door-to-door sales. It might have been like an MLM kind of thing. It's kind of
like the proto-MLM.
Yeah, and they'd drive around like pink Cadillacs.
Let's give it up for MLMs.
They don't get enough
Underrated.
Underrated.
Criminally underrated.
The way,
sometimes literally criminally rated.
The way that she trained her saleswomen.
Yeah.
She says, never forget that every single person goes through life with an invisible sign around their neck that says, make me feel special. And Eric has very understated charisma, and he is gifted at salesmanship, at listening. He's a very gifted listener, understanding what's important to you, and then translating what's important to you into how his business can solve your problems. And so what I think one of the things I admire about both Eric and Kareem is like, I like people that take what they do very seriously. I don't care what that activity is. And they work like dogs. I'm not into this, like, I'm not into work-life balance. I don't like balance. I'm not a balanced person. I'm at 0 or 100 and nothing in between, and they're both like that.
Yeah, we're always telling you, you don't have to destroy your life for this next episode. You deliver the product you want. It's possible. Yeah. So you have to push yourself.
So there's a couple things I think they do really, really smart. One is, and I think they both have commonalities, is one, they pay attention to every single little detail, which is the point that you were making. Yeah. So the point where like they're running a giant company. They have tens of thousands of customers. They have thousands of employees. Their revenue growth is exploding right now. They have all these features. They did 300 updates to the product in the last year. And yet
it's only 250 work days.
Yeah, like I think this was yesterday, the day before. I don't even know what day it is today. We sat in there. It's not like Eric and Kareem have empty schedules. No. And it was us three, and we sat there and we talked about podcasting and like the role it could play. We talked a lot about you guys. And what I like about them, I'm just gonna like say random stuff. You guys jump in wherever you want. But like the one example I used for them, and I was just like, listen, I like how fast they make decisions. And then when they make a fucking decision, they don't like, oh, we'll kind of like test it out. They go all in. They make big, bold bets, and they're willing to take a risk even if it will fail. Where I think a lot of the biggest mistake you can make in a world that's changing constantly, the biggest risk is taking no risks. And so I use the example. I was like,
is that an Elon quote or Sam Altman?
I don't know.
Quote?
All my quotes come from other people. I have no original ideas. I have no original ideas.
I think
feel bad about that.
I think the original idea that you have that you beat the drum on is podcasting.
It's a Zuck quote. Underrated. The biggest risk is not taking it.
So there you go.
Zuck quote.
Shout out to Zuck. Can we get? You have what should we hit for Zuck?
You're not going to be able to hear it.
Hit the Glazinator.
No, but
triple glaze.
The Glazinator 3000.
The Glazinator 3000.
So what Eric and Kareem both do, that the commonality they have with history entrepreneurs, is they bet on talent. So they overpay for talent. They're like, they will find the best people in the world, like their head of AI, some of their designers, some of their engineers, the people they partner with. Like they're like, that's the best person, and let's make sure he or she is compensated at a level that makes sense. And so I was talking to them. I was like, I really do think we have like. John and Jordy are gifted at what they're doing, and we had a long conversation about this. I was like, I'm telling you, man, I talked to a lot of people on a per-minute basis, and I've told you guys this, privately. I'll say it obviously in public. Is like on a per-minute basis, I don't know anybody else that comes up with better, more simple, more effective, and inexpensive marketing ideas. And I go, I really think we have this huge opportunity for leverage. It's like if they have an idea, from the idea to execution, since we trust them, we know they're talented, there should be no barrier. There should just be like, here's a fucking pile of money, and next time you have come with an idea, do it. And immediately they're like, done. What else you want? It's just like they're like, yeah, that's obviously a good idea. John and Jordy are obviously talented. Like, how can we get more out of the talent that we have around them? I just think there's just a million little ideas that they have like this. I remember, I don't even know what the valuation is now, but it went like, it had like a huge jump. I don't think it was this time, it was the last time. But we were having dinner. It was going to be me, Kareem, and 2 other people. And me and Kareem got there first. And it was the day that announcement came out, and Twitter was going crazy. They're like, Ramp's fucking killing it, and your side of the world with all these VCs are like fighting over this shit. And Kareem shows up in the first 10 minutes. He's just like, this feature's not good enough. We lost this deal. This is he didn't mention a word. And I just sat there smiling. And it's really hard for me to not talk for 10 minutes. And I go, that's the reason, your divine discontent is why you're so good. because the value of your company is just the collective value of all the problems that you solve for your customers.
Yeah.
And he doesn't give a shit about taking a victory lap. He cares about solving problems for his customers. And I like the fact that I can call them. I've called Eric at 1 a.m. his time, and I'm like, where are you? And he's like, oh, I'm in like Chicago, and I'm like doing like customer meetings, and like I recruit people, and like I'm closing this deal. He's just like, they work all the time.
Working hard.
Work all the time.
It's a good mantra.
It's one thing you can control.
Yeah.
The Joe Lamont. Think about that. I mean, that's excessive, but I think they were in that piece. They were talking about this conversation he was having with Jack Welch, if I'm not mistaken, where he's just like, well, if you have a product that's working and you're willing to work 20 hours a day, it's really hard to lose at that point.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Find your life's work. Find something that's what was the phrase? Not authentic. Natural, and then work constantly. And
okay. So this is again. Everybody. I'm so happy to see what's happened to you.
Yeah.
I still consider myself your first listener.
It's true. You are literally.
Literally first listener.
Sent you the MP3 on Google Drive.
Oh, and that's another thing. So going back, I want to talk about why I think you guys are really special. But it also goes back to...
the Glazenators.
Hold on. It also goes back to what Eric and Kareem were willing to bet on talent when I was just like, guys, they have 1,000 listeners right now.
It was crazy.
They're gonna fucking blow. I don't know anything. I know about podcasts, and I know how history's greatest entrepreneurs think. I don't know anything about anything else. Yeah, I promise you, there's zero chance. They already knew you were talented, but they already knew it was obviously Coogan's talented. They tried to buy you and recruit you a long time ago, and they made a bet, and they made a bet on talent, which again is something that Brad Jacobs does, that Elon Musk does, that Steve Jobs did, that all these people did over and over and over again. Again, these are ideas that are timeless. You can use them today. You can use them 100 years ago. They were used 100 years ago. You're going to be able to use them 100 years from now.
Well,
so get out there and use them.
Get out there, folks. We have a 3 p.m. reservation.
We do. We got to get on the road.
We got to get offline. We got to get off air. It's hard to get this guy off the mic. I wish that we could go. We could go for another 5 hours right now. But
you in town tomorrow? Let's do it again. Run it back.
I got to finish this episode.
Okay.
Stay in Malibu.
Okay.
It's already Tuesday. And I'm never driving here, guys.
We're getting a helicopter. We're getting a helicopter.
No, that's how Kobe died.
It was foreshadowed in our first launch video. We open in with us in a helicopter. We're going to be helicopter guys.
So that's what me and Kareem and Eric were talking about. Your launch video.
It's about the type of helicopter.
Yeah,
not all helicopters are
created equally. We need to move the studio to Malibu.
Anyway,
the Center for Extreme Podcast.
We will see you tomorrow. Thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out with us.
See you tomorrow, chat.
See you tomorrow. Leave us 5 stars.
Have a fantastic evening.
Have a great rest.